Harwich Mariners look to clinch a series victory here at White House Field and advance to the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series with a win tonight. Hello everybody, Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry as the Harwich Mariners take on the YD Red Sox, and they look to win this best-of-3 series with a victory tonight. And Tyler, the game 2 days ago, as Game 2 was originally scheduled to be yesterday, but it was washed out due to rain. But 2 days ago, over at Red Wilson Field, just down the road, Harwich won a game in which YD really just made mistake after mistake.
Yeah, I mean, 5 errors for this team, and especially when you look at having the lack of Wyatt Young, who defensively does bring a lot to the table in addition to his stellar bat. So, yeah, I mean, it was a tough day for them. The 5 errors certainly don't help. What really doesn't help, though, is the fact that the best offense in the league, arguably, came into that game. They left 14 runners on base, 12 runners in scoring position. I mean, they had ample opportunities to make it a close game, but they did not take advantage of any of those. And you got to think, Colin, that's got to be a really demoralizing way to lose. Even with a day off, it's going to be tough for this YD team to come into this game with the right mindset and find a way to get back on track with a big-time win.
And what makes it even tougher is the pitching matchup that they are tasked with, as Jacob Polish, the starter in this game for the Harwich Mariners. Polish 5-1 on the season, and he has been the most dominant pitcher all season long in the entire CCPL. Tyler, the big lefty out of Stanford, has been one of the toughest pitchers to face, 6th in the league in strikeouts with 38, first in wins, and first also in complete game shutouts. So how tough is this going to be for YD to come on the road and beat a guy like Polish?
Well, it's not going to be easy. There are minor league teams that would struggle to come in and play well against Jacob Polish the way he's been pitching. Take a look at the raw numbers for Jacob Polish this season. He has been just something else. He's playing on another level. Through all of the innings that he's thrown, 30-plus, he has a .77 ERA, a 5-1 record, 38 strikeouts to only 5 walks, and oh yeah, by the way, the guy's only allowed 1 run in the month of July as a Harwich Mariner. That 1 run came back on July 7th against the Wareham Gatemen. So he's been pitching out of his mind. That is not something we expect to change at all today. And even for a good YD lineup, nobody does well against Jacob Polish, at least not this season. So we'll see whether or not he can come out and put together another run like what he's had in the past. But for YD, the big question is going to be the guy they've chosen to throw on the other side, Ryan Hare, who has not been the best this season. You take a look at his numbers, a 4.26 ERA, 0-3. He has not gotten a single run of run support throughout the entire course of the season. And again, while the offense is good, they're going to be struggling to get hits off of Jacob Polish as is. When you couple that with having a guy like Ryan Hare on the mound who has really seen his fair share of struggles this year, this is the ideal situation for Harwich to get a big win and head to the championship series up 4-0 in the postseason.
Harwich looking to get a big start out of Jacob Polish, and here's the lineup that Polish will be facing, as the starting lineup for the YD Red Sox reads as follows. Brad Beasley, the center fielder out of Cal Poly, will lead things off. Riley King, the third baseman out of Georgia, will bat second. Austin Wells, the left fielder out of Arizona, bats third. In the cleanup spot, the first baseman, Tate Samuelson, also out of Cal Poly. Noah Campbell, the South Carolina second baseman, will bat fifth. And Pepperdine's Wyatt Young back in the lineup playing short, batting kind of towards down the bottom of the order. We've seen him bat leadoff a few times against the Mariners this season, but he will bat sixth. Noah Cardenas, the catcher out of UCLA, will bat seventh. UNLV's Jack Thomas Wald, the DH, will bat eighth, and Andrew Eister, guy who has the lone home run in the postseason for the YD Red Sox out of South Carolina, bats ninth. For the Mariners, Dylan Noyes will lead things off in center field out of Texas Tech University. Chris Gallen batting second, playing left from Boston College. Chris Lanzillo, first baseman out of Wake Forest, will bat third. Nico Cavanus, the third baseman out of Notre Dame, bats fourth. Corey Acton, the Florida Gator, bats fifth and plays second. Joey Weimer, the right fielder out of the University of Cincinnati, will bat sixth. Pat Winkle, the catcher out of UConn, bats seventh. Max Marshak, the designated hitter in this one, getting his first action in the playoffs, will bat eighth in DH. Hal Hughes, the shortstop, will bat ninth, and he is out of LSU. And as you mentioned, they will face Ryan Hare, the UNLV product. 0-3 on the season, as you mentioned, with a ERA north of 4. But again, no run support in this one. And Tyler, this is an offense for the YD Red Sox that is capable of putting up monster numbers in terms of runs. They put up 11 in Game 2 against the Orleans Firebirds in that first series, and they were kind of in position to do that yesterday, or 2 days ago, I should say, as they scored 1 run early. That's all they would get after stranding 14 runners on base. Who do you look at in this YD lineup to make a difference in this game? I think obviously the easy choice might be Wyatt Young, but outside of Young, who else do you expect to step up for this Red Sox team?
Well, I mean, you can look at the other 8 guys in the lineup all you want, but the simple fact of the matter is Wyatt Young is the catalyst. He is the engine that makes this team go. And how many times yesterday did they have runners in scoring position and they get to a spot where Wyatt Young would be the next guy in the order? He would be the guy at shortstop who comes in and makes the play that ends up becoming a 2-run error, or he's the guy up trying to score a couple of runs. So I don't think there's anybody else to look at. Wyatt Young is going to have to be the difference today for a YD team that, let's be honest, through everything they had at Harwich in Game 1 and still came up on the short end of the stick. If Young performs today, we could have a very interesting game. If he doesn't, still nursing that groin injury, we could very well see another victory for the Harwich Mariners in dominant fashion. And I mean, again, against a guy like Jacob Polish, it's going to be tough for anybody to get something done. But if anybody can do it, it's going to be this team and this offense, which has performed all season long.
And then quickly looking at the Harwich lineup, both of the 2 RBIs out of 5 runs scored, as Harwich didn't really drive in a whole lot of runs. They were the beneficiary of some bad defense, but both RBIs coming from the 7, 8, 9 hitters, including a big day yesterday from Pat Winkle, the catcher, who went 2 for 4 with his second home run of the season, both of which coming against YD. You look at Winkle growing as the season has gone at the plate offensively. Tyler, do you expect the same here tonight from Pat Winkle?
Yeah, I mean, I think we expect the same out of Pat Winkle. We expect the same out of Hal Hughes, guys that have really come through. Let's be perfectly honest about this offense. It has gotten the job done. They're still outscoring opponents this year by a final margin of 10-4, but this is an offense that has struggled throughout the course of the postseason. They're 17 of 90 with a batting average of 189 and an on-base percentage of just 260 throughout the postseason. And typically, that's not a sustainable business model, but it has been with the kind of pitching they've had backing it up. So, again, the pitching is going to have to come through. And the other thing is, we're not going to continue to see the same kind of struggles that we have out of guys like Corey Acton, Christian Fetko, Nico Cavanus, Chris Gallant, and Chris Lanzillo, who are currently posting a 2 for 43 clip. That's going to change at some point or another. And when it does, not if, when it does, that is going to make this the scariest team left in the CCBL. So keep an eye on that. But again, I expect the offense to really turn things around. They've had a day to rest, a day to kind of think things over, relax a little bit, and now they can get back to playing the good offensive baseball that they've had in the past. And one last note, Colin, you'll remember throughout the course of the season, this team always plays better when they're well rested offensively.
Right.
It seems like a lot of the offensive outbursts we've seen have been following rainouts because that has been the main source of days off this year. So we'll see whether or not that continues here, as, again, Harwich is not going to be using that day to cool off. They're going to be using it to heat up.
For the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox, it is win or go home. For the Harwich Mariners, it is win, and they are in the championship series. First pitch set at 6:30. We'll bring it to you right here live on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. packed crowd here at White House Field as the Harwich Mariners are one win away from making it to the CCBL Championship Series. And if they were to make it, they would face either Falmouth or Stewart. Stewart leading in their potential game-clinching game by a score of 5-3 in the 8th inning in that one. So they got an opportunity to win that game with 3 more outs. And Tyler, back to this game, Jacob Polish making his first start in the postseason for the Harwich Mariners. He was 5-1 on the regular season. What do you expect out of him here tonight?
I mean, I expect basically what we've seen all year long, and that's dominant pitching. It's excellent location of the fastball. It's incredible off speed that he's going to mix in whenever he feels like it. And again, part of the thing that makes Jacob Polish so special is his ability to locate pitches. This is the reason why this year he has 38 strikeouts and only 5 walks. So if he comes out and plays as dominant as what we've seen him all season long, this is going to be a very quick game, and Harwich could very quickly find themselves in that championship series.
6 starts, 6 decisions on the year for Polish, going 5-1 with a .77 ERA to go along with 38 strikeouts, just 5 walks in the regular season. An incredible stat. And his last time out was against Brewster back on July 30th, where he went 6 innings without walking anyone, surrendered 7 hits, but no runs in that game, and he looked to build off of that start against a very talented YD Red Sox lineup. And as Brad Beasley heads to the plate to lead things off, we are just a few seconds away from first pitch of a huge game between 2 Eastern Division rivals. Beasley, the right-handed batter out of Cal Poly, has 4 hits in 10 at-bats this postseason and a couple of RBIs. So Polish toes the rubber from the windup, and the first pitch of Game 2 is in there for a called strike.
Yeah, Polish not wasting any time. He's going to go after the strike zone. It's what he's done a good job of doing all season long, and again, a lot of stuff he can mix in and throw at you. A fastball, curveball, slider, change.
The 0-1 is flared off to the right, out of play, and that fastball for Polish has been a real statement pitch. He's done a good job all season long of locating that pitch on the inside and outside corners. Rarely leaves a fastball over the middle of the plate. That's what's made him so effective this year. The 0-2 to Beasley, that fastball misses outside.
And it's not the most overpowering thing in the world between 89 to 91 miles an hour, but like you said, Colin, the location is really what makes it special. And when he can tuck that thing on the corner and get some late movement on the 2-seam, it's a deadly pitch.
The 1-2, a check swing, and Beasley went around for strike 3. Pat Winkle tosses it down to third as Harwich Mariners infield sends around the horn, 1 away.
Yep, working very quickly, getting 1 strikeout, 4 pitches, and again, Jacob Polish picking up where he left off, and where he's left off every game for the last couple of weeks. Now he'll face Riley King, the hottest hitter in the postseason other than Tate Samuelson for the YD Red Sox, 7 of 12 since the regular season ended, and a guy that's going to be tasked with trying to get something started after a pretty good day with a couple of hits the other day.
First pitch is a fastball on the outside corner to King, who is 7th in the entire CCBL in batting average, hitting .328 all season. Got some power as well with 3 home runs, and here he swings and hits one out towards right field. Joey Weimer battles the sun, but he makes a catch for out number 2. Let's take a look at the Harwich Mariners defense as Chris Lanzillo over at first, Corey Acton at second, Hal Hughes at short, Nico Cavanus at the hot corner. Left to right in the outfield, Chris Galland in left, Dylan Noisy in center, Joey Weimer just making that play out in right, and Pat Winkle will do the catching for Jacob Polish. So here is Austin Wells, left-handed hitting left fielder who also doubles as a catcher. First pitch to him misses down and in. Wells in the top 10 in the CCBL in a number of categories, including batting average, runs scored, doubles, and homers. And he takes a big cut and fouls one straight back.
Things getting interesting right now out in Katuitt. The Kettleers lead 5-3, top of the 9th with 1 away. They need 2 more outs to head to the championship series, but a double was just hit by one of the Falmouth guys, and they've got a runner in scoring position. The tying run coming to the plate.
1-1 misses inside to the left fielder Wells, and Katuitt originally trailing 3-2 in that game, and then Nick Gonzalez with a big go-ahead 2-run home run in the 7th, the league MVP, as Wells ahead in the count now 3-1.
It's a good guy to have on your team. Harwich has a couple of guys that were runners-up for awards, very close, but weren't actually able to pick up any of the superlatives at the end of the year.
Nice breaking ball as Wells chasing, and it's full count now to the Arizona Wildcat.
And it's kind of crazy that Jacob Polish, again, with a .77 ERA, 2 complete game shutouts, and a no-hitter, doesn't win Pitcher of the Year. But tough break for him. They'll be back.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, and he picks up his second strikeout of the inning as he sets down the top of the YD order 1-2-3 to kick off the ball game. We're through half an inning from White House Field, scoreless in Game 2 of the Eastern Division Championship Series. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Alongside Tyler Henry, and starting pitcher for YD in this make or break game in the series of Game 2. It's going to be Ryan Hare out of UNLV. Hare has not gotten the run support he would have liked all season long, including the last 3 starts that he has made. He has not gotten a single run of support, and he lost all 3 of those decisions. So Tyler Hare this time around hoping that he can get some offensive support from a really talented offense that YD has.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that it's a team that put up the run support that YD has all season long did not give him any run support throughout the course of the year, but at the end of the day, that's baseball. That's what happens sometimes, and he's looking to hopefully see a difference today. But for himself, the one thing he can't control is how many runs he lets across, and that's been a struggle for him this year as well. 4.26 ERA. Guys haven't necessarily been teeing off on him, but they found ways to get hits. And again, this may be a Harwich offense that hasn't had the greatest production over the course of the last 3 games here in the postseason, but they certainly have the capability with a day off. These guys are going to be well rested and ready to go, starting with a guy who's hitting .500 this postseason in Dylan Noisy.
So Noisy will face the UNLV senior out of Lakewood, California, Ryan Hare. Hare, the righty, from the windup. First pitch to Noisy is on the outside corner for strike 1.
Yeah, we'll see how aggressive Hare is here. As again, he's a guy who's given up a lot of hits this year. We'll see whether he wants to just attack the zone and go right at these Harwich hitters, or if he'll try to kind of play around with the corners.
Noisy 4 of 17 on the year against the YD Red Sox, including a pair of home runs and 5 RBIs in that huge breakout game he had right here at White House Field. Made the difference in a 9-4 victory for the Mariners. 1-1 pitch just misses outside.
Yep, Dylan Noisy continuing to be patient up the plate. It's been kind of his thing all season long. Very aggressive early on, but throughout the last 13 games, he's really kind of calmed down a bit, and that's helped him get on base more often.
2-1 is swung on and missed for strike 2.
Well, I took a big aggressive cut at that one right as I said that. So does chase him a pitch upstairs, but the count's still 2-2.
Noisy replacing Daniel Cabrera as the leadoff hitter for this team after Cabrera left before the playoffs. The 2-2 from Hare swung on and fouled.
Quick update from Katuitt. 2 outs in the top of the 9th, but a walk has put runners at first and second. The go-ahead run at the plate, the tying run on first base. Of course, if Katuitt can hang on and win this game, they advance to the CCBL final. We'll get you more updates on what the potential matchups mean for both teams involved. This pitch misses well up and in, and off speed that tips off the glove and heads back to the backstop on Dylan Noisy.
Noisy's got a lot of speed, so if the Mariners can get him on base, maybe strike first here in the bottom of the first if they send him to second on a steal. Here comes the payoff pitch from Ryan Hare. Fastball misses high for ball 4, and it's a 6-pitch walk to Dylan Noisy, and he is aboard to lead off the bottom of the first.
Yep, Dylan Noisy reached on a walk in game 1 between these two. He came around to score, courtesy of an error hit on into by Chris Lanzillo. So he has found his way on via the walk before, and he's found his way across to score. Here comes Chris Galland, who will try to score him, and it's been a really tough stretch to the start of the postseason for Chris Gallen. Just an 0 for 11 clip, but again, a good day for him to potentially break out and get back on the right side of things with his hitting.
Gallen overall in the season hitting .287. He squares to bunt. First pitch is a called strike one.
Not a huge surprise there with him squaring around to bunt. We've seen Harwich play some small ball against YD, and it's really made them look uncomfortable as 2 of the errors that they committed in game 1 were on bunts.
Pat Winkle, not even the fastest guy in the world, was able to reach on a bunt single. One of his 2 hits in his big day 2 days ago. The 0-1. High pop-up, left side. Riley King going towards a dugout, and this one will make its way out of play.
Yeah, really good crowd on hand here at White House Field, and these 2 teams have been filling seats all season long. A crowd of, according to the estimate, 3,300 2 days ago at that game being played at YD. And all those fans just right down the road, so a lot of them have made the trip out here to support their YD Red Sox, and of course Harwich filling the seats as usual with Mariner supporters.
Dennis Yarmouth High School, about 10-minute drive here from Monomoy Regional High School. As the 0-2 is fouled straight back.
Yeah, but this is what you want to see out of Chris Gallen. He's been getting down in counts, but if he can find a way to fight his way back, it's going to help his case an awful lot going forward. So not getting down on himself and not chasing a pitch outside of the zone too far. There he just puts a good protective swing on it and keeps his at-bat alive.
Yarmouth Dennis infield at double play depth. Noisy takes his lead off first. A long look in by Hare. Now the 0-2 is a fly ball into shallow left. King will back up behind the bag, still backpedaling. He makes a catch for out number 1. Let's take a look at the YD defense as you saw Riley King make the play over at third. Wyatt Young back in the lineup at short. Noah Campbell at second. And Tate Samuelson over at first. Left to right in the outfield. Austin Wells in left. Brad Beasley in center. Andrew Eister in right field. And UCLA's Noah Cardenas will do the catching for Ryan Hare.
A pop fly to right field in Katuitt, and that seals the deal. The Katuitt Kettleers are moving on to the CCBL final, and they will face the winner of this game if it's Harwich, if not the winner of Game 3. But one of these 2 teams will be coming out to play against that Katuitt squad.
Noisy going. First pitch is a ball. The throw down. Noisy is safe, and he's just barely able to keep his foot on the bags. He slid in pretty hard. Noisy's been caught several times stealing this year, but he got a good jump in. Now he's in scoring position with 1 away.
Yep, that's what he does. I mean, again, we've seen his speed all season long, and they're able to really utilize that to his advantage once again. So a runner in scoring position with 1 out here for Chris Lanzillo, who's also looking to break out of an 0 for 12. He was the hottest hitter in the entire CCBL coming into the postseason, but has really struggled to find his footing here early on.
1-0 to the Wake Forest Demon. Deacon misses up and in, and Hare seems to be really overthrowing that fastball. He's missing high a ton.
Yeah, it seems like he's reaching back for a little something extra. He's really trying to, get himself into a position. But again, you mentioned overthrowing. He is not pitching, he is throwing, and that's been a problem for him so far. Harwich has plenty of opportunities to take advantage of that if he continues.
16 strikeouts to 9 walks on the season for Hare, so a solid strikeout to walk ratio, but already issued 1 here in this first inning. The 2-0. Breaking ball is in at the knees to Lanzillo for strike 1.
Well, when you look at what YD has had to do to get to this point, they threw Eric Tolman in Game 2 of their first series. Game 1, of course, went to Legend Smith, and then yesterday they threw a guy that they're very trusted in John Beller, and he picks up a loss. So now you look up and down the bullpen, you look for guys to start today's game, and your options are awfully thin if you're Scott Pickler and this YD coaching staff. So they've elected to go with their guy in Ryan Hare. Wonder how long the leash is.
2-1 is fouled back. He's certainly battled against all 3 hitters he's faced now as he worked the count full on Noisy but couldn't quite get that payoff pitch. He was able to get Gallen to pop out, and here he's fighting back on Lanzillo after falling behind 2-0. The count now 2-2. Nico Cavanus waits in the on-deck circle. Noisy the runner at second. Hare will look at second. Now he's going to throw over. The ball actually goes off of Campbell's glove, but only rolls away a couple of feet, so no advance from Noisy.
Yeah, pretty harmless at the end of the day, but still a lot of speed in Dylan Noisy, and clearly they're concerned about that at second base. All it takes is Lanzillo putting one down in a gap somewhere, and you already know that Coach Tebow is going to be sending his guy from third. So we'll see whether or not some good contact can be made by Chris Lanzillo, something he's struggled to do here as of late.
Hare with the 2-2. Fastball inside.
Good to see more patience here out of Chris Lanzillo. He had 2 strikeouts a day ago, and then of course over the course of the Chatham series, he had 3 more to add to that. So good to see him being a little bit more patient, maybe not quite as aggressive up there at the plate.
Drew 8 walks in the regular season, go along with 19 strikeouts. Certainly seems like that patience was more present in the month of July, and that kind of helped boost his numbers overall. Hare's payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He ran a fastball in, and Lanzillo couldn't quite get his hands around, and he becomes out number 2.
Yep, so here comes Nico Cavanus looking to break a tough 0-for streak of his own. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters for Harwich in this game, Chris Gallen, Chris Lanzillo, and Nico Cavanus, are a combined 0-for 31 to start the postseason. But again, Cavanus is a guy with he's more than capable, and for Nico Cavanus, he's the only guy out of those 3 who has gotten on base regularly this year, as he's reached in all 3 playoff games so far. A couple of walks, a couple of hit by pitches, and an error.
Coach Pickler shifts his infield to the right now. And the first pitch to Cavanus misses outside for a ball.
Yeah, and right now with Young kind of holding the runner on second a little bit back there with the shift, there is a ton of space to the left side if Nico can get one down.
Cavanus with 9 home runs on the season, but only 2 of them coming right here at White House Field. Showing a lot more power on the road. The 1-1 is an off-speed pitch, a good one there from Hare, and he gets Cavanus to chase 1-1.
Yeah, it looked like Nico may have been sitting on that fastball, and he knows Hare's been overthrowing it. He knows he's going to make the mistake of leaving it up, and if he could put a good swing on one, I mean, there's also plenty of room that nobody's going to be guarding past the outfield fence. Haven't seen Cavanus take one deep in quite some time.
Cavanus still looking for that first hit of the postseason. The 1-1. Ground ball towards Hare. A nice play on the pitcher's mound. The throw onto Samuelson is an accurate one, and the inning is over. So despite a runner in scoring position with 1 away, the Mariners are unable to capitalize. We're through 1 inning from White House Field. 0-0 is your score. You are watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Second inning from White House Field. Jacob Polish looks to continue his success this season against the YD Red Sox. And as we mentioned on the other side of the break, that the Stewart Kettleers have clinched the Western spot in the CCBL Championship Series. Tyler, what does that really mean for, I guess, both of these teams going forward?
Well, here's the most important thing that it means. Harwich had 44 points in the regular season. Katuitt did 2. They're 2-2 against each other. So when you look at, okay, what's the third tiebreaker? It's who wins the All-Star game, which this year was the East, thanks to a walk-off hit by Brewster's very own Brett Auerbach. So what that means is if Harwich can find a way to get a victory and secure their spot in the CCBL final, they have home field advantage now, and that's going to be a guarantee for either team. YD had more regular season points. So no matter what happens, no matter who comes out of this, Katuitt will be on the road for Game 1, home for Game 2, and on the road again for a potential Game 3.
Should be interesting to see if Katuitt can continue that magic without having the home field advantage of Lowell Park, but they were able to pick up a victory against a very tough Falmouth Commodores team at Gov. Wilson Field. The first pitch to Tate Samuelson misses outside.
I think it's also worth noting that that if Harwich wins today, and again, there's a lot of baseball left to be played as this one is hit into foul territory.
And Lanzillo reaching up and makes the catch over by the fence, so Samuelson pops out to first for a quick out number 1.
So if today's game ends in a Harwich win, Game 1 of the CCBL final will be tomorrow. There will be a time that we'll get to you guys on that, as again, they'll have to figure out the scheduling. They didn't know where the game would be at, but again, it will be tomorrow for Game 1 if Harwich wins today. If not, of course, tomorrow would be Game 3, and that would be huge for Katuitt, as they would get another off day to rest up more pitchers and get their guys ready to go for the CCBL final.
YD Red Sox looking to prevent that from happening as Campbell swings the first pitch and hits it off to the right side. Lanzillo runs out of room this time, and it'll be a foul ball.
It would also force Harwich to pitch another guy, and that's the other thing for the Mariners. We've talked about it. Their pitching has been flawless this season, but they don't have the same kind of depth as some other teams. So if you do get into a Game 3 scenario, you're going to have to throw a guy like Connor Seckler, and then the question becomes, who do you have going forward? Obviously, you have Connor McCullough, but from that point on, you're really kind of stretched thin with who is available to throw for you throughout the CCBL Championship Series. Of course, they still have to get through YD first.
Campbell hits one on the ground to short. Hal Hughes fielding. The long throw is in time to get the speedy Campbell. Hal Hughes, who had committed an error in the game 2 days ago, this time makes up for it. Moving to his right, makes a long throw, and Campbell is retired for out number 2.
Yeah, safe to say that Hal Hughes has not been shaken up by his one misstep throughout the course of the entire season yesterday. So that'll bring up Wyatt Young. And again, the same defense we've seen pretty much the entire postseason being used here for the Harwich Mariners. The umpires are different today. Joe Caruco gets to start behind home plate. Mickey Garcia at first. Frank Auditore at second. And Doug Isham is your third base umpire today.
So here is Wyatt Young getting his first opportunity in this series, and he swings at a first pitch breaking ball for a strike.
Getting his first opportunity since Game 1 of the series against Orleans. So he's had about 4 days off to rest up and fix the groin injury that he's had.
That fastball misses low from Polish. Young, of course, last time he was here at White House Field, drove in the game-tying run in the top of the 9th inning that would eventually force a 4-4 tie.
There have been a lot of games this year where the difference maker has been Wyatt Young, and a couple of them have come against the Mariners, whether it's been with his glove or with his bat.
Young with 5 RBIs against Harwich, and he takes a fastball in on the inside corner for strike 2.
And it's big because, you look at Game 2 of their series against Orleans, they didn't have Campbell or Young, so getting both of those bats back in the lineup has been big.
A liner off of Polish's glove. Hughes charging the barehand, the throw, and it's just not going to be in time as Young's got a lot of speed. He picks up his 10th hit of the season against the Harwich Mariners, and the first hit allowed by Jacob Polish.
Yeah, not a whole lot that Polish could do about that. He just had to try to defend himself as that was taken right back up the middle, and at the end of the day, it does put a runner on base, but with 2 outs, things are still looking pretty good for Harwich as Noah Cardenas comes to the plate.
So here comes Noah Cardenas, another guy who's had some relative success against Harwich, especially in the regular season, is Cardenas. He's got 3 RBIs and 5 hits and 13 trips.
Yep, and so far he's 5 for 9 here in the postseason, so a guy that's looked pretty good recently as well, looking to keep the 2-out rally going here for the YD Red Sox.
First pitch to Cardenas is fouled off. Wyatt Young had 9 steals in the regular season, is yet to record 1 in the playoffs, but we'll see if Coach Pickler decides to send him in motion with 2 away in the inning. Mariners looking to make it 4-0 in the playoffs so far in 2 series victories right here in front of their home crowd. Polish with the 0-1. Lined in, that's going to get into left center field for a base hit. Young rounding second, he's going to head for third. No throw from Noisy, and it's going to be runners at the corners with 2 away. Tyler, where have we seen this before?
Yep, this seems a bit familiar, and if you're wondering why, it's because yesterday they got into the situation a lot. Seemingly every inning they had at least a runner on third, but were unable to make anything of it. And you and I both said the floodgates were going to come open sooner or later. The question was whether or not it would be during the course of that game or maybe during a Game 2. So see whether or not they can actually drive him in. Jack Thomas Wold is 1 for 4 in the postseason. All 4 of those at-bats coming yesterday against Harwich, but that's a big hit for Cardenas and a big heads-up play by Young to go ahead and take third.
So Wald will get an opportunity with a runner in scoring position. He takes a first pitch that is over for strike 1. Jack Thomas Wald on the season against left-handed pitching, hitting just 200. Has yet to go yard against the lefty and has only driven in 2 runs. But golden opportunity here in a must-win game for the YD Red Sox. Here comes the 0-1. Swing and a miss. He blew the fastball right by Wald.
Yeah, Polish, not afraid to throw a challenge fastball here and there. And again, while it's not coming in at 95 miles an hour, his location is good. He knows exactly where Wald wants it, and he's not going to give him the pitch he looks for. So we'll see what he goes for here trying to get the strikeout or whether or not he's going to hang one and maybe try to get him to chase.
The 0-2 is a fastball that just misses outside. Noah Cardenas over at first base actually has a steal against Harwich this season, so if need be, he is capable of taking a bag, as both middle infielders playing relatively far off of that second base bag, and Polish will step off before delivering the 1-2. 9-hitter Andrew Eister waiting in the on-deck circle. The 1-2. Breaking ball hit high in the air towards the left side. Winkle will give it a look, and it makes its way into the seats.
Yeah, good hustle there by Pat Winkle, but that one just has a little bit too much distance to it, so Harwich will have to reset here. Really good pitch there by Jacob Polish as he was able to get him way under it, but a little bit too far under, and he'll stay him there with a 1-2 count.
As a whole, the YD Red Sox, one of the better teams hitting against left-handed pitching, right up there with the Orleans Firebirds, as on the season they hit .276 with 8 home runs against Southpaws. They look to strike first against Jacob Polish. The lefty's 1-2. Breaking ball hit out towards center field and deep. Noisy tracking it, and he will make the catch in front of the warning track for out number 3. So once again, YD plagued by stranding runners at first and third. We're through 1.5 innings from White House Field, still scoreless in Game 2 of the Eastern Division Championship Series of the CCBL playoffs. You are watching Harwich Mariners Playoff Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the second from White House Field as Ryan Hare heads out for his second inning of work. And Tyler, what do you think Scott Pickler's looking for out of Ryan Hare? We've seen him go 3 to 4 innings on average in his starts. Do you think that Pickler will maybe push him to try to get him to go at least 5?
I mean, I think probably you keep him relatively limited, but the interesting thing is they used a lot of bullpen arms in Game 1. They brought in Jacob Winger, Noah McCarthy, and Gordon Ingebrigtsen. So for as limited as they've been with their starting pitching, they're also a little bit limited with who they have in the bullpen. You would think that he's hoping to get at least 4 or 5 innings out of Ryan Hare today, but I don't know that they're going to push him if it looks like Harwich is starting to get to him. You got to think this is a do-or-die game. You got to do everything you can to win today, or there is no tomorrow.
So Hare will now try to work his way through the 5, 6, and 7 hitters of the Harwich lineup, starting off with Corey Afton, the second baseman out of the University of Florida. Afton was dealing with a hand injury earlier in the season, but has really picked things up in the month of July as he swings and fouls off the first pitch. Afton, the lefty, awaits the 0-1. Fastball that misses high.
So really quickly, just to give you an update, the Harwich Mariners against the YD Red Sox this year, when you take a look at what YD has left on the base paths, they've left 16 runners on, 13 in scoring position, and 7 on third base.
Acton lines one over the head of Wyatt Young at short for a base hit, so Corey Acton with a leadoff single, and let's see if the Mariners can turn that into runs. They have had a lot of success in the second inning, especially as of late right here at White House Field.
Yeah, Corey Acton, another guy that kind of started off slow, but he's picked it up. He had the single that would then come in to score on the RBI error from Chris Lanzillo in the 7th inning of yesterday's game, or 2 days ago, I should say. And here he picks it right back up with a leadoff single. We'll see whether or not Harwich can bring him around as Joey Weimer comes to the plate.
In each of the last 2 games right here at White House Field, the Mariners have scored 10 runs in the second inning. See if they can continue that trend as Weimer swings at a fastball way outside for a strike.
Yeah, Weimer's going to have to be a little bit more patient than he has been throughout the course of the series so far, although he did have the one single, I believe, yesterday. Looking back at that game, he had the base hit and then reached on an error in the fifth. So a 2 for 4 on base clip for him in 2 days ago's game.
Weimer 2 for 12 in the playoffs with 2 runs scored. The 0-1 misses inside. Weimer on the regular season at 273 with the lone home run right here at White House Field and 17 runs driven in, a lot of them coming against the YD Red Sox this year. Weimer with 6 RBIs against the Red Sox. 1-1 is fouled back, and Tyler, can't help but notice Hare really took a long time to deliver that ball to home plate.
Yeah, and you see getting a huge secondary lead over there was Corey Acton, who has some speed. So if it's going to take him that long to deliver the pitch home, we may see Acton try to swipe the bag. He may have just been testing out his timing on that big secondary, but again, with how quiet or how slowly Hare's delivery is, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him take off here.
The shift on once again on a right-handed hitter. 1-2 is grounded to third, gloved by King. He will look at second, but won't be able to get Acton. He throws on to first, and Weimer is out. So another runner in scoring position with 1 away for the Mariners, as moving up to second is Corey Acton.
Yep, still a productive out, and that brings up your guy Pat Winkle, who really exploded during game 1. He had the infield single that he laid down the bunt on. That brought a run across to score and gave Harwich their first run of the game. And then the very next inning, he goes for a solo blast. So he's been feeling it lately. 2 for 7 here in the postseason, and with Sean Harrington not a big viable option necessarily, newer to the team still, it's going to be left up here to Pat Winkle.
Winkle 4 for 18 on the season with a pair of home runs against the YD Red Sox, and he lays off the first pitch low. Something that Winkle and catcher / left fielder Austin Wells of YD have in common, both drafted by the New York Yankees. Winkle taken in the 29th round in 2018. Drafted straight out of high school. 1-0 is lined foul over towards the YD bullpen.
And you got to think all it takes here for Harwich to feel really confident in themselves is one big hit. I mean, if they can find a way to drive a couple of runs in here, I mean, we've seen teams struggle to get runs off of, much less just hit the Harwich pitchers this year, especially guys like Jacob Polish. So every run's a big one here for a Mariners team that has not scored them in bunches this season.
Look over at second, incoming set is Hare. Comes home with a 1-1. It is lined into left field, but starting in and coming back was the left fielder Austin Wells. He does make the play, and Acton holds up at second, 2 down.
Yeah, Wells may have misread that just a little bit. Typically, you want your first step to be back unless you're really confident that you have to charge in to get it. And that ball came off the bat pretty flat. It was a line drive. You see him kind of step in first and then have to back up. Here comes a guy who has not seen postseason play yet for the Harwich Mariners, is Max Marshak, who so far has not entered a game for the Mariners. We figured he would be the prime candidate to be a pinch runner, but we have not seen him as of yet. And here come the corners, expecting him to try to square around a bunt.
Hare's first pitch, breaking ball on the inside corner. Marshak on the regular season pitches 145 with the lone RBI, but a big threat to steal, no question about it. 10 stolen bases, spending only about 4 weeks with the Mariners in the regular season. Had to arrive late after his Texas Tech team went deep in the College World Series. As the pitch comes in, and it is a foul ball. It looked like it might have hit the knob of the bat.
Yeah, it had to have hit the knob of the bat because it was either that or the giant plastic wrist plate that he's wearing, and it sounded way too solid to be either one of those two things. So, yeah, it makes sense to have him in the lineup here today, though. A guy who's getting a little bit antsy on the bench, and going against righties, he's looked okay. Against lefties, he has really struggled this year with just a 2 for 21 clip. But this is where he's found his success, when he has found it offensively, in an opportunity here with 2 away for him to maybe drive somebody in. He looked pretty good at the tail end of the season, too.
Marshak looks to shorten up here with 2 strikes. The pitch, fastball high.
Yeah, I think Max Marshak in the final game of the year against the Brewster Whitecaps was able to reach base 3 out of his 5 at-bats. He had 2 hits, including a single and a double, and then the day before that found some success as well with an RBI. So a guy who's like many others, despite the low numbers, really done his best work here at the tail end of the season.
Afton, the runner at second. Hare looks over, now the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike three, as Marshak looked really off balance on that one, and Hare retires him for his second strikeout of the game through 2 innings. We are scoreless from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Third inning from White House Field, still scoreless in Game 2 of the Eastern Division Championship Series of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Harwich looking to clinch a spot in the championship series against Katuitt Kettleers with a win tonight, and they have their ace on the mound to do it, Jacob Polish, who's pitched 2 scoreless innings, but no run support yet, and he will face the 9-1-2 hitter, starting off with the 9-hole hitter Andrew Eister, who lays off the first pitch fastball for a ball.
Yeah, Eister, another guy who's due for a big day, as he's struggled mightily both in the postseason and against Harwich. In the course of the regular season, Andrew Eister hit just 1 for 10 against the M's, as he'll pop this one foul, and that one's out of play. Throughout the postseason so far, he's hitting just 1 for 8.
That one hit for Eister, the lone home run in the playoffs for the Red Sox, coming against the Orleans Firebirds in first round, the Eastern Division semifinals. 1-1 from Polish. Breaking ball grounded to the left side. Tough play for Cavanus. It's actually going to be Hughes. He's going to have no play. As that ball was kind of hitting no man's land, Cavanus tried making a sliding stab at it. Couldn't quite get there. Good backup by Hughes, but not nearly enough time to make the throw to first, and it's a leadoff infield single for Andrew Eister.
Yeah, the first time that YD has had the leadoff man aboard today, so we'll see whether or not they can make anything of this with the top of the order coming up. It'll be Brad Beasley, Riley King, and Austin Wells, who went down quietly 1-2-3 back in the first.
That was a big issue, too, in yesterday's game for YD, is they only had the leadoff man on in 2 of 9 innings, so big reason why they stranded so many guys on bases. They weren't exactly early out situations, as Beasley lays off the first pitch on the outside corner. Beasley reached base to lead off the bottom of the first inning yesterday, and he came around to score the only run in that ball game for YD. Led things off today with a strikeout. 0-1 is waved out and missed.
Yep, he gets ahead of yet another hitter here, trying to get another strikeout on Brad Beasley, who's been very anxious at the plate. He's been interested in swinging at most of what Polish has had to offer, just trying to find something to jump on.
Polish with the 0-2. Fastball in there for a called strike 3, as Beasley got a little fooled on that fastball. It was right at the knees, and he strikes out for the second time, the third strikeout victim for Jacob Polish.
Yep, and that's another big strikeout to get, is once again you retire the leadoff man, and now you'll face against Riley King, who flied out to right his first time up. If you can get your 2 outs, then everything else seems a bit futile, regardless of what guys like Austin Wells and Tate Samuelson can do.
So here's third baseman King, who was taken in this June's draft by the Atlanta Braves in the 26th round, but elected to keep his college career going with the Georgia Bulldogs. And so far it's looking like it was probably the right decision, as he has certainly improved his draft stock here on the Cape, being 7th in the entire CCBL in batting average. He has really torched left-handed pitching this season. The 0-1. Fastball in for called strike 2.
He's also the hottest guy in the postseason. As I mentioned, coming into this game, he's 7 for 12. And the interesting thing is the top 5 guys in the postseason throughout the entire course of it, including the guys who only had a small sample size of games, these are the best hitters. In order, Riley King, Noah Cardenas, Tate Samuelson, Dylan Noisy, and Hal Hughes. That's your top 5, all playing here in this series.
0-2 pitch. Fastball misses just inside, and King with just astronomical numbers against lefties in the regular season. He came into this series hitting .422 against southpaws with with 1 home run and 4 RBIs. But here he's got a tall task against a really tough lefty in Jacob Polish, the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He goes down on strikes, and it's back-to-back Ks for Polish, his 4th in the ball game. And despite getting the leadoff man on, things not looking too good for YD, 2 down.
Yep, and like I said, you get that second out, and Austin Wells coming to the plate here. He's had his fair share of success, but it's a little bit harder for him to hurt you unless he takes one over the fence. With 1 runner on first base and 2 away in the inning, you can get him out a lot of different ways here if you're Jacob Polish.
The other big threat with Austin Wells is the double. He is 2nd in the league in that category with 13. First pitch fastball on the outside corner from Jacob Polish.
Well, and of course, for Austin Wells going into game 1 of the series, he had a couple of doubles to his credit throughout the postseason. So a lot of speed for him. We'll see whether or not he finds a way to pick up another one and maybe put runners at 2nd and 3rd against Harwich here.
Lanzillo holding Andrew Eister on base. Over at first. Eister's going. Wells going to lay one down. It's down the line. Cavanus slips and the ball hits the bag. It's a fair ball. Nico Cavanus was going to let that roll and see if it ended up foul, but it came off of Wells' bat like a rocket, and Wells reaches on an infield single. So, once again, a couple of guys on base with 2 away for YD, and their cleanup man coming to the plate.
Really weird play there because, again, if Cavanus let it go, my initial thought when he slipped was this could be good for Harwich if it rolls on the wrong side of the bag, but that thing had no spin to it, left or right. That was laid down right down the line. It was never going to alter its angle, and yeah, again, Cavanus, I think, just got a little bit caught up, maybe trying to let it go past him. And that's going to put runners at 1st and 2nd for Tate Samuelson, 7 for 13 this postseason.
He swings the first pitch and just barely makes contact as it dribbles to the backstop. Samuelson popped out to Lanzillo to lead off the 2nd. Another guy who hits relatively well against left-handed pitching, .298. With a homer and 3 RBIs. He's got a golden opportunity with Eister on 2nd and Wells at 1st. Give YD an early lead. There's a line drive, base hit up the middle. Here comes Eister. He will score. It's an RBI single for Tate Samuelson, and the Red Sox jump out in front 1-0.
Yep, and that's a big one. I mean, again, they got out to a 1-0 lead yesterday, and they find a way to do it again here. Harwich certainly not out of this one, but that is the first run Jacob Polish has given up since July 6th, and with 2 away in the inning is not over yet, as Noah Campbell will come to the plate now.
So Campbell gets an opportunity as Polish surrenders a rare run, but seems like even in games where he's allowed a couple of runs, he's gotten the run support. Mariners going to really have to help him out if they don't want to be going to a Game 3 at Yarmouth tomorrow, as first pitch to Campbell misses inside.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to do going into a road game tomorrow that would be a do-or-die for both teams. Granted, you would have available probably Connor Seckler, but YD would have their guy available for Eric Tolman. So, again, it's kind of a catch-22. If you're Harwich, you want to just find a way to end this right here, right now, and play a game tomorrow at home against Stewart.
1-0 fastballs inside to Noah Campbell, and the Mariners this season 2-2 at YD. I really do think pretty much every game between these two teams is just a coin flip, the way these guys are matched up against each other. A really good lineup in YD and just phenomenal pitching in the Harwich Mariners. The 2-0. That fastball's over. Noah Campbell grounded out to Hal Hughes, who's actually robbed of a base hit, as Hughes had to go all the way deep in that shortstop hole to get him out by half a step. Polish with a long look in. Now the 2-1. Lined and caught by Corey Afton, and it's a good thing he hung on to that one because Wells was rounding third as that ball was hit really hard, but right at the second baseman for out number 3. But not before an RBI single from Tate Samuelson. YD Red Sox lead at 1-0 after 2.5 from White House Field. You are watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. Harwich Mariners look to answer in the bottom of the third inning after YD is able to pick up the first run of the ball game on an RBI single from Tate Samuelson. And it's the same part of the lineup for Harwich as it was YD in the third, 9-1-2, and arguably their best hitter in the playoffs in Hal Hughes coming to the plate.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not Hal Hughes, who is 4 for 8 this postseason, can find a way to pick up another run here and maybe try to drive another in.
Hughes, a shortstop out of Louisiana State. Known for his defense in the regular season, but last couple weeks of the season, he really started to pick things up at the plate to complement that stellar defensive prowess he has. And first pitch from Ryan Hare is on the outside corner.
So we'll see how aggressive Hare wants to be here. But again, this is the first time he's had a single run of support all season long. Finally, somebody's able to put a crooked number up on the board for him.
There's a ball in the dirt. Hal Hughes, just 170 in the regular season, but hitting .500, 4 of 8 in the playoffs with a run scored and an RBI. That run scored a huge one in Game 1 of that Chatham series, and he pops one up right side of the infield. Samuelson heading towards the dugout, and he's got enough room to make the play for out number 1.
Yeah, a couple of those already today on both sides, as we've seen Chris Lanzillo chase one over to make a catch. Noah Campbell fly out second, and then this one to first. So a couple of weak fly balls on the infield here for both pitchers. We'll see whether or not some of these start to get straightened out a little bit more.
White House Field completely packed, as probably the first time all season we've seen the outfield fence surrounded by spectators. As Noisy swings and hits one out towards right field. This one sends Eister back, but he is over to make the catch, and quickly 2 away in the bottom of the third for the YD Red Sox.
Tell you what, Noisy straightens that out a little bit. I think one of those spectators might have had a souvenir, but he gets out ahead of it just a little bit, takes it off to the right side, and that results in out number 2. So here comes Chris Galland, looking to get something started here for the M's.
Galland hit a home run right here at White House Field about a week ago. That game against the Brewster Whitecaps, as first pitch is in there for a called strike.
Galland has reached on 1 walk this postseason. He also has an RBI on a sac fly that drove in Hal Hughes, as you mentioned, against Chatham in Game 1.
So Galland looking to pick up where he left off in the regular season. Certainly hasn't translated in the postseason the first 3 games he's played. He's got no 2 count, 2 away as Ryan Hare looks to continue to pitch well, and he'll have to throw another pitch to try to get out of the inning as Galland wraps this one foul down the third baseline. Chris Galland out of Sudbury, Mass. Played with this Harwich Mariners team last season. the highlight of his season last year, a walk-off home run against the Orleans Firebirds. Here comes the 0-2. Misses high. Galland also was towards the bottom of the order at the start of the year, but as soon as he started to pick up consistency at the end of June, early July, he found himself towards the top of the order. And he will lay off a 1-2 breaking ball that misses outside.
I mean, he had a stretch of 10 games where he was hitting over 500 with double-digit RBIs, a couple of home runs, and anything else he could have asked for him. And then it seemed like he just hit a wall all of a sudden where he struggled to hit.
The 2-2. Breaking ball in, excuse me, swing, and that one's fouled off towards the YD dugout. Lanzillo waits on deck. Gallen's able to reach base and keep the inning alive. 1-0. YD leads over Harwich as the Red Sox look to force a Game 3 in the Eastern Division Championship Series. Check swing, strike 3 as Gallen goes around, and that is out number 3. The third strikeout for Ryan Hare, who has looked very impressive in his first 3 innings. He and his YD Red Sox lead it 1-0 after 3 from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Top of inning number 4 from White House Field, Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And a quick reminder that this edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball is brought to you by Curry College. Earn a bachelor's or master's degree, complete a certificate, or take a single course through the Division of Continuing Education and Graduate Studies at Curry College. Classes run days, evenings, and weekends in Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, criminal justice, education, nursing, and more, visit curry.edu.
So to lead things off for the YD Red Sox as we go to the 4th inning, it will be Wyatt Young, Noah Cardenas, and Jack Thomas Wald. So far, Wyatt Young has reached on an infield single. That came back in the 2nd inning. And YD, of course, leading at 1-0. It was another infield single by Andrew Eister that put a runner on base, who eventually came around to score as this one is chopped into foul territory. It'll be picked up by Chris Lanzillo.
And let it be known that hitting the ball was certainly not the issue the other day for YD, as they were able to tally 11 hits. The big problem was hitting the ball with runners in scoring position, and so far Tate Samuelson responsible for the only run so far for the YD Red Sox. They have left 4 guys on base, but certainly looking a lot better than they did 2 days ago.
Polish is 0-1, a breaking ball in there for strike 2. Let's run through the line one more time for YD a few days ago. 1 run on 11 hits, 5 errors, and 14 runners left on base, 12 of whom were in scoring position. So an interesting day for the Red Sox as here's a check swing. There will be no appeal as that one broke out of the zone, and the count goes 1-2 here on Wyatt Young.
Yeah, the craziest thing is these 2 teams are tied for first in the Cape Cod Baseball League in defense with a .976 fielding percentage.
Polish is 1-2 as a fastball low and away, trying to get Wyatt Young to chase. Yeah, typically 2 of the better defensive teams, and part of the problem, of course, was that Wyatt Young was not playing shortstop as 2 of the errors came up the middle for the Red Sox. The 2-2 pitch. That one's going to be taken into center field, playing shallow, chasing it over and making the catch is Dylan Noisy, who is really far in, given Wyatt Young's power potential, but because he's playing in on the center field grass, he's able to go over and make the catch.
Yeah, it was a good swing by Young, that little inside-out swing out towards left center field. That ball tailing away from Noisy, but we know the speed that this Harwich Mariners defense has. I mean, even Max Marshak, the designated hitter, who's usually an outfielder, has got so much speed. That one paying off for Noisy, is able to track that ball with relative ease.
So here comes Noah Cardenas. Cardenas is 1 for 1 today with a single. First pitch the right-handed hitter sees from Jacob Polish is a front door curveball in there for strike 1. Of course, Cardenas so far is 6 for 10 in this postseason. He's been one of the best bats in the YD Red Sox lineup. The only guy without a hit so far is Noah Campbell, who is 0 for 2 today, 0 for 7 this postseason as Polish's pitch misses inside for ball 1.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Cardenas is still down there in the 7-hole. I mean, obviously Scott Pickler knows what he's talking about when he's got all these lineups that he's got beforehand, but Cardenas seems like he deserves a spot higher in the order.
You would think, as the 1-1 is a fastball that gets in there for a strike. At the same time, it does put a very dangerous hitter down in the 7-hole and lets you focus on trying to get back to the top of the order.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have if you're YD with how many guys they have on that team that can hit for average.
So with a 1-2 count, Jacob Polish looking for the second out of the inning. He has 4 strikeouts today. This will not be one of them as he rings one inside and hits Noah Cardenas, who will reach for the second time. Cardenas in some pain as he spikes his bat to the ground.
Yeah, it was a fastball that kind of caught him. It looked like right above the elbow and maybe in the bicep area, so that one will sting a little bit, but a pretty important base runner with a solid bottom of the order coming to the plate. Jack Thomas Wold, his last at-bat, hit one pretty well out towards center field, probably about 20 feet short of the fence. Would have been a 3-run shot, his second against Harwich this season.
So the runners on base continue to pop up for the YD Red Sox as they've got Cardenas on first and Jack Thomas Wold at the plate. The switch hitter will bat from the right side, and the first pitch he sees is a breaking ball in there for strike one. Of course, Jacob Polish, not the kind of guy who's going to get shaken up by having runners on base. He's allowed 24 hits this year, so he's comfortable pitching out of the stretch, and we've certainly seen what he can do from that angle as well as he comes set and checks the runner back to first. Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and that one is going to be raked into right field. Joey Weimer gives it a chase back to the fence, looks up and makes the catch, and the runner didn't turn around. If Weimer gets this in quick enough, they may double him off. The throw is at first. It's going to be close, and it is in time. Home plate umpire Joe Caruco is going to rule Noah Cardenas out on an absolute laser from Joey Weimer. Colin, what a play.
And I mean, once again, the errors just continue to haunt YD. This time a base running error. That ball stung out towards right field by Jack Thomas Wold, but we were able to run it down on the track. I'm not sure why Noah Cardenas was even further than second base. He should have held up at second, waited for that ball to drop instead. Weimer makes the catch. Cardenas was halfway to third, had to turn around, a close play on the throw back in at first, and he was meat. So a great defensive play, but at the same time, you got to wonder what was going through Noah Cardenas' mind with two away.
And of course, no signal from first base umpire Mickey Garcia, but the home plate umpire Joe Caruco had a perfect angle, and he rules him out for out number 3. That'll do it for the inning. We step away, and when we come back, the home half of the fourth, Harwich trailing at 1-0 here on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the home half of the fourth. Mariners trail it in this one by a score of 1-0, but the heart of the order coming up. Chris Lanzillo, Nico Cavanus, and Corey Afton. And Colin, if you had to pick one thing out of the offense that's really been struggling, what is it that you think has been the difference between the last week of the regular season and the postseason in terms of Harwich's run production?
I think simply it's all approach. I mean, when you have such a strong week or 2 week stretch as a whole, you kind of get more and more aggressive, and I think that's kind of been a little bit to Harwich's detriment. They've been swinging at a lot of pitches high and away. It seems like they can't really lay off those high fastballs, and it's certainly hurt them in the playoffs so far. Their pitching's been able to overcome a lot of that, but I don't know if you'll be able to keep relying on that, especially against some of the good lineups that you're facing in YD and potentially could to it in the championship.
Here comes Chris Lanzillo. Let's really quickly just break down what he was able to do throughout the month of July. He hit .375 with 4 home runs and 17 RBIs, and he continued to do that damage. This pitch misses outside for a ball up until the final game of the regular season against the Brewster Whitecaps, where he was able to reach base twice. Since then, the postseason's been awfully quiet as he pops one up high in the air. It's settling in is the catcher, and ranging back and making the catch is Noah Cardenas. Didn't know if he was going to be able to get to that ball, but he does, and that'll be out number 1.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that ended up being his ball, as it looked like the first baseman Samuelson had a great opportunity to get to that ball, but Cardenas calls him off and had the confidence to make that play. So Ryan Hare just continues to do a great job of getting outs via the strikeout, pop-out, ground-out. It really hasn't mattered.
So here comes Nico Cavanus. Cavanus is 0 for 1 today. He has reached base 5 times this postseason, 4 walks and 1 error. And the first pitch to him is in there for strike 1. Aside from those 5 times that he's reached on base, and none of them have come via hit, he is 0 for 9 coming into this at-bat. We've seen what he's capable of. He got the hottest start in the entire CCBL to the month of July, including a stretch where he hit, I believe, 6 home runs in the course of 10 days, including 3 in one game against Wareham.
Yeah, he was really hot at that point, but the power numbers starting to dip a little bit. Last home run came all the way back on July 25th, as he's ahead in the count now, 2-1, and even along with the power numbers, even the RBI numbers, since that Katuitt game, he's only recorded 2 RBIs.
One came in a game against YD, a very big one for the Harwich Mariners, where they would go on and tie that as the 2-1 is chopped. This one off the foot of Cavanus. The infield still playing it, but that one went off his cleat.
And they're going to call him out.
How are they going to... And this has got to be the home plate umpire. This is up to Joe Caruco to overrule, as Coach Englert's going to come out. He's going to call for a conference. He's right on top of the play, and you saw as well as we did, that ball clearly goes off the cleat of Cavanus. If it didn't, there's nothing else there for it to hit as it bounded back into fair territory. So that's just the first base umpire, Mickey Garcia, doing his job as the play continued. The home plate umpire did not rule the ball dead, so he has to make the call at first base, which was out. But this should be a very easy overrule for this umpiring crew to get the count back to 2-2 and bring Cavanus back up to the plate.
Lengthy discussion here right in front of the pitcher's mound, and it's going to be interesting to see if they do, in fact, call this a foul ball. If they don't, there's going to be an enraged Scott Pickler, and they do, in fact, call it a foul ball. So a good job of getting that call right, and that's what you need in the postseason. If you're not sure, the worst or the best thing you can really do is just talk it out amongst your peers.
Here comes Scott Pickler. He wants to have a word with the home plate umpire, Joe Caruco, and I mean, it's a pretty easy call to make. It was pretty obvious to you, to me, to the however many thousands of people here watching both in-house and online, that ball was bounced off the foot of Nico Cavanus, who now is having a bit of an argument with the catcher Noah Cardenas about this. And I don't really know what Pickler is making the argument for here again, because it was pretty clear they got the call right. He does not look too happy as he gets the explanation from Caruco.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's kind of any time there's an overturn, the opposing manager who's on the wrong side of it's always going to be unhappy. And I'm sure Scott Pickler's not happy that it wasn't ruled a foul ball to begin with. I mean, you're right in front of there, and you got to make that call. So, you know, Pickler's got a reason to be a little upset, but it looked like in the end it was an easy call for the umpiring crew.
So Nico Cavanus will stand back in, a 2-2 count. Ryan Harris had plenty of time to think about the next pitch he wants to deliver to the big lefty. These are the kinds of moments that this postseason we've seen have spurred Harwich a little bit. It seems like they've been taking offense to, you know, sometimes an umpire or a guy comes out and argues with an umpire, and the next thing you know, Harwich is dropping 3 runs on the scoreboard. That won't happen here as Cavanus swings through it for strike 3, and ultimately it's all futile as he's still out for out number 2.
Yeah, Cavanus really struggling this season, especially against YD. 143 on the year now, and he's 143 against YD, that is, with 3 RBIs, but that's now 14 strikeouts against the Red Sox, so he certainly hasn't seen the ball well against a relatively middle-of-the-road pitching staff.
Here comes a guy in Corey Acton who has been seeing the ball exceptionally well, and he's been picking things up over the course of the last few days. First ball that he hits is going to be fouled down the first base line. Acton, of course, yesterday came up in a pretty big spot for the Harwich Mariners. He was able to get on with a single and then was brought around to score on the Chris Lanzillo error. And then the day before that, he was able to break his 0-for-7 start to the postseason with a hit in the 9th inning against the Chatham Anglers. So with an 0-1 count, here comes the pitch to Acton. That'll miss inside, and he's become one of the guys that you can add to the list of members of the Harwich lineup that can change things with one swing of the bat, as I believe he's had 3 home runs so far this year.
Yeah, and 2 of them opposite field, so he's also a guy that can hit the ball the other way, and Scott Pickler appears to know that. He's not shifting.
1-1 pitch. He'll give this a ride out to deep left, as you mentioned. Austin Wells chases it back, and it tucks over the foul pole. Solo shot for Corey Acton. This game is tied, and Colin right on cue, the lefty, sends it over the fence.
I mean, there you go, right there. He just puts a charge on a fastball on the outside corner, and that ball barely cleared the fence. It's one of the deeper left fields in the entire CCBL, 330 down the line. I think Chatham's the only one that's deeper, and Acton just barely gets enough of that ball, and I'm sure Ryan Hare not too happy that ball got out, but Corey Acton coming up big here in the 4th inning for the Harwich Mariners.
Corey Acton with the biggest hit of the afternoon, and once again, the Harwich Mariners, despite being out-hit 5-1, lead it. Or actually, they don't lead it, but it's tied 1-1. So they have been out-hit by YD this entire series, but it hasn't seemed to matter as Joey Weimer comes to the plate. First pitch to him is a fastball in there for strike one, and there goes the run support for Ryan Hare.
Yeah, you'd only given up 1 hit going into that at-bat and had 2 outs in the 4th, and just 1 mistake pitch to Acton, all of a sudden got a brand new ball game.
Weimer ready, the pitch misses high, another fastball zipped in there by Ryan Hare.
Wasn't even that bad of a pitch. I think it was just a great swing by Acton, and another home run hit the other way by a lefty in this series by Harwich that just barely cleared the fence.
Here comes the 1-1. This is a high chopper. It will settle down right in front of Campbell, who throws on to first in time for out number 3. So the inning is over, but not before the Mariners get the run back. We're knotted up at 1, going to the 5th here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the 5th inning, but the Harwich Mariners, with 1 swing of the bat from Corey Acton, have tied this game up, and that could prove to be huge, as again, runs are going to be coming at a premium throughout this game. We know that already. Yeah,
of course, with a guy like Jacob Polish on the mound. I mean, Whitey's been able to pick up 5 hits in this game so far, but again, can they push runs across? We're going to have to find out.
First pitch is on its way to Andrew Eister, who let things off in a really big 3rd inning for the YD Red Sox. He had an infield single, and then was moved over on a bunt single from Austin Wells, came across on an RBI single from Tate Samuelson. Here he will foul this off, and the count goes 1-1 here to start off the AB.
Yeah, run on 5 hits for YD as they are once again out hitting the Harwich Mariners, but still find themselves tied 1-1.
So we'll see whether or not that continues here as the M's looking for more runs on the next half inning, but for now trying to keep them off the board as Polish goes back to work, and he's got a 2-1 count here on Andrew Eister. And Colin, you wonder, I mean, this is a guy that hadn't given up a run since July 13th, whether or not he'll give up another run till, Stanford baseball season. But again, against an offense like YD's, it's a lot to be told as the 2-1 is chopped foul.
Yeah, YD's got quite the mixed bag offensively. You got a good mix of guys that can hit for power, some guys that can hit for contact, and also some guys who can draw walks here. I mean, Noah Campbell's a guy who's 4th in the league in walks drawn, so just a really balanced lineup, and here you have a guy in the 9-hole in Andrew Eister who can jump the yard.
The 2-2 pitch, that'll miss low and inside, skips off the glove of Pat Winkle behind the plate. So a full count here, as once again, YD looking to reclaim the lead. They took it 1-0 in the 3rd inning. They were up 1-0 in game 1 as well, but could not muster anything more than that in a 5-1 loss. Polish's payoff pitch. Swung on and chopped down the 3rd base line. Cavanus will pick it up just in fair territory. Has to throw really hard against the corner, and somehow there's still no signal.
Yeah, and I guess they're going to say it's a foul ball.
And I think that, again, it looked close down the third base line. Even from our angle, it was tough to see whether or not that was fair or foul. But you got to get a call out sooner than that. And the count's going to stay 3-2 here. It was a great throw by Cavanus, though. It would have been there in time as Lanzillo was able to step on the bag and make the catch. But it's still going to be a full count here to Andrew Eister, who's 1 for 1 today. Eister stands in. Once again, the payoff pitch. And this one's fouled off as well. So back-to-back balls fouled away. And the 8th pitch of the at-bat upcoming.
Yeah, the big thing for YD is try to get Jacob Polish out of the game as soon as possible. If they can get him to only go 5-6 innings, get into that Harwich bullpen earlier than they wanted to.
Payoff pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. As down on strikes is Andrew Eister. That is strikeout number 5 for Jacob Polish today, and back to the top of the order we go with Brad Beasley coming to the plate.
Yeah, and the top of the order that hasn't been all that effective so far. Austin Wells did single in his last at-bat, but other than that, it's 1 for 6 in total for the 1-2-3 hitters, including 4 strikeouts.
So we'll see whether or not they can rebound here as Brad Beasley, who's 0 for 2 with 2 of those strikeouts, stands in now. From the left side, Polish's first pitch is an off-speed that misses low and inside for ball 1. Of course, for Brad Beasley, he's looked pretty good coming into today's game. Now 4 for 12 in the postseason. This one also misses. Polish trying to get him tied up inside, something he succeeded in doing twice before. Here comes the 2-0. And that'll miss outside. Took him the other way, and the count is 3-0 here on Brad Beasley. He worked a couple of walks yesterday, or 2 days ago, in that game against Harwich. His first 2 at-bats were 4-pitch walks. 3-0 pitch. Down the pipe, strike 1.
Yeah, we saw the patience from Beasley yesterday, and we know he's got a lot of speed as well on the base path, so run-out base runner in Brad Beasley would be ideal for the YD Red Sox in a tie game.
3-1. That is crushed out to deep right field, but plenty of time for Joey Weimer to settle under it, and he will make the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, it looks like the YD Red Sox have been struggling trying to get the ideal launch angle on Polish. They've gotten a few good pitches to hit. Polish has kind of left some of those pitches over the plate that we don't usually see from him, but so far YD just can't quite get the ball out. I mean, it is a pretty deep ballpark, 330 down both lines, 400 to center, so they can't quite get enough on some of these fly balls to get it out of the ballpark.
Well, we talked about it. This is a pitcher's park as the first pitch misses low and inside. And think about this, Colin, another thing to bring up. If you think these future major league hitters have a hard time getting it out of White House Field, imagine the high school kids that typically play here from Monomoy High School and all the teams they play against. I mean, the number of guys that have hit one out here has got to be an awfully short list for Monomoy High Schoolers. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. That'll miss inside. Once again, Jacob Polish will find himself behind a hitter 0-3. This time it's Riley King.
Yeah, and it seems like all across high school baseball in America, they really like pushing the fences back. I mean, back home in East Lawn Meadow, it was 330 down both lines and 415 to dead center at my high school.
Did you ever hit one out there?
Absolutely not.
3-1 pitch is in there for strike 1.
I didn't even hit one out when I was playing in 5th or 6th grade baseball when it was 170 down the line.
Fair enough.
I hit a ball off the wall once with the bases loaded.
The 3-1 is in the dirt. That's going to be a walk here issued to Riley King, so another base runner will reach, and you can hear the YD faithful excited to have somebody on base.
Sounds like there's an air horn out there. Haven't really heard any of those all season, but yeah, there's a pretty big 2-out base runner, because then you bring up Austin Wells, a guy who's a big threat for power and a guy who sees left-handed pitching pretty well.
So we'll see what Wells does here. You talked about the fact that we haven't heard a lot of air horns or noisemakers this year. The one thing about the CCBL is it's kind of the epitome of class. This is a league where you don't have walk-up songs necessarily. You have a lot of people that have been around the league for a very long time that show up to watch these games. Tourists come in as well to see the talent, but it really is kind of the purest form of baseball. No distractions, nothing else going on, just 18 guys out there playing their hearts out in front of some big-time scouts as the first pitch is fouled away for strike 1.
Yeah, and after spending the summer here in the CCBL, there's a huge difference between this and the NECBL. Both leagues have their positives for sure, but I mean, obviously the big thing being the less travel time. I mean, the farthest travel from Orleans to Wareham is just about an hour.
Yeah, still nothing compared to what guys in leagues like the Northwoods League have to put up with, as there you're crossing over state lines as the 0-1's fouled away. And give us an old friend alert. You talked about the Valley Blue Sox, I believe.
Yep.
A couple of ex-Harwich Mariners getting some work done
Yeah,
there.
crazy game yesterday. In fact, the Valley Blue Sox were trailing 5-2 in the semifinals with 2 away in the ninth. Back-to-back-to-back home runs tie the ball game, but ultimately they would lose 7-6 in extra innings to the Keene Swamp Bats.
Here's a swing and a miss, ball tipped foul. So turning around and heading back is Riley King, and 2 ex-Harwich Mariners played in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. In fact, Joe Lamuscio hit one of those 3 home runs, center fielder who started the year with the Mariners. The other being Hunter Waldus, who actually pitched in extra innings. So 2 guys that have found a home out in Holyoke, about 3 hours west of here.
So a big-time game there. Here, the league's still going on, partially due to rainouts, partially due to scheduling, but we are in Game 2 of the Eastern Division Final. Here's a ball hit to Hal Hughes, who picks it up, turns and fires to first in time for out number 3. So the inning is over. Once again, the Mariners don't allow any runs to come across. We go to the home half of the 5th. 1-1 here at White House Field. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry and Colin Casey, joined by a very special guest. It's ex-Harwich Mariners / Orleans Firebird Jacob Hurtubise. And Jacob, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. We really appreciate having you on.
Absolutely, good to be here.
So you had a bit of an interesting journey, as again, you were with Harwich early in the season, a little bit of a log jam in center field. So you ended up playing with the Orleans Firebirds for the latter half of the year. And how was that for you, being down there in Orleans?
Oh, it was an awesome experience being down there with Coach Kelly and all the rest of their coaching staff. I had a phenomenal time just being able to come play baseball up here at the Cape. It didn't really matter what team I was playing for. I just wanted to make sure that I was playing baseball, and I had fun doing it.
Absolutely. You've been regarded as one of, if not the fastest guy in the CCBL. And now that you've seen a couple of these other guys and the kind of speed they bring to the table, do you agree with that statement from what you've seen this season?
Oh yeah, I knew that I would compete with anybody that was up here. Obviously, coming up here with Chris Gallen for Harwich and Joey Weimer, and then right after I arrived, Max Marshak, I was like, oh my gosh, we could have one of the fastest teams up here in the Cape.
As Pat Winkle swings the first pitch and sends this into left field, this one drifting into foul territory, and that'll drop out of play for the first pitch of the at-bat. So, you talk about the speed, you talk about the pitching too. I mean, going from Army, where you set, I believe, both the single-season walk and single-season stolen base record, and then coming out to the Cape League, and how hard is it to adjust to just this sheer amount of talent that they have out here pitching-wise compared to other leagues in college?
Yeah, it was a little bit of adjustment at the beginning, especially guys just being able to pound the strike zone very consistently. I'm normally a very patient hitter, but coming up here, I found that the biggest adjustment that I had to make was just being aggressive early. Guys, when they can get ahead 0-1, 0-2 on you, they're going to be able to have that out pitch to either get you to make weak contact or to strike you out. So
the 0-2 pitch misses high to Pat Winkle.
And Jacob, in your debut for the Orleans Firebirds, you stole 4 bases, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so did you feel any hesitation to kind of stay aggressive on the base pass even after becoming a part of a new team like Orleans?
No, not at all. I think just being who I am on the baseball field is very important. That's what's going to help teams win ball games, just me being able to utilize my speed. So I had no hesitation when going over to the new team.
A lot of these guys, they get into a position where at the tail end of the season, they basically have their plane tickets ready to go. They're checked out, a lot of them, and Orleans, of course, took a tough loss to this YD team in round 1 of the playoffs, but you're sticking around here supporting the Harwich Mariners. What's kept you here on the Cape here, even after your team at the end of the season was eliminated from contention?
So I'm still living in Harwich with President Mary Henderson, and she's been begging me to keep staying every day, and I'm like, all right, one more game, I'll go watch my boys one more time. So I'm still good friends with a lot of these guys. Made a lot of good friends while I was here. So it's been fun being able to take a more relaxed approach and just kind of watch baseball after playing 100-plus games from the college season in Cape.
And of course, again, just with everything that has been done this year, one of the biggest things that makes the Cape Cod League special as Max Marshak comes to the plate here is the host family. So having a chance to stay with Mary Henderson, what has that been like for you and for all the guys to know that they have a place to stay here on the Cape throughout the summer?
Mary has been awesome. She's honestly, I came in here and she's just treated me like part of her family, along with Biz and they have a couple other people on the block that are in their family, and they've just been so awesome in welcoming me. And the rest of the host families, I know that I haven't heard any complaints since I've been here. So everybody's it's all a part of the experience, and it makes it a really good one.
So as, again, Max Marshak coming to the plate, one of the fastest guys for Harwich. He'll take this one upstairs for ball one. What is your favorite memory throughout the course of the 2019 summer campaign? And if you have to pick two, you can technically cheat and go with one with the Mariners and one with the Firebirds. But what made the summer so special to you personally?
So the one memory that I remember was when I was here on July 4th. That was pretty cool. All the guys kind of like giving me a pat on the back, like, this is your day, this is your day. We had some fun with wearing some headbands, and that just made it cool. It's something that you don't really get in the college baseball season. And then playing for the Orleans Firebirds just in the playoffs, we had a couple good runs or shots at YD. Just came short, but being able to come this far, make the playoffs, and just meeting all new players from across the country, I think that's been my favorite part so far.
Yeah, it's always a blast, and especially as you mentioned, just players from all across the country, all different conferences, as Marshak swings through that one for strike three for the second out of the inning. And you know, you talk about it going from Harwich to Orleans, making that transition. It is kind of very quick, and was it easy for you, just kind of as far as the logistics go, getting everything turned in, getting everything else new, and basically starting the very next day with the Firebirds?
Yeah, it was easy because I live with Mary, so she's in charge of giving everybody their uniform. So I just said, well, here you go, Mary, here's my stuff. And she was sad to see me go, but she asked me if I wanted to stay here in Harwich with her or go to a different host family in Orleans. And I had grown accustomed to living with Mary at the time, so I didn't want to leave her, and it just made things super easy.
And really not too bad of a commute from Harwich to Orleans. That's the other thing that is big for a lot of these guys. I'm trying to remember, did you play in a different summer league last season?
I didn't.
Or last summer?
The last 2 summers have been full of military training for me, so this has been my first season being able to play summer baseball.
So that's actually one of the things I wanted to get to, and I will here as the 2-0 pitch is popped high in the air by Hal Hughes. This one will have a chance to get out as Cardenas settles under it and finally will make the catch for out number 3. Before we let you go, take me through what that was like. You talked to Alex Weiner before about this, your military training basically right up until you came here to the Cape. What did that consist of for you, and just what was that whole experience like?
Yeah, it was 3 weeks out in the woods. So we were running missions, Army tactical missions. It's part of our training for what we're going to be doing after our time at West Point. So we would be running missions every day, and that's basically it. Living out in the woods, sleeping out in the woods. It was rough on the body, and so coming out here to play, compete against some of the best guys in the country was tough at the beginning.
Yeah, and then the very next thing you know, you're out here on the beach. So
yeah,
well, a heck of a summer for you, Jacob. We appreciate you sticking around. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your service. We really do appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll see you around the next couple of days.
Thank you very much.
That is Jacob Hurtubise, again, the ex-Harwich Mariners outfielder, Orleans Firebirds outfielder, and University of Army player. So when we come back, we will have for you the 6th inning of play. Harwich still tied up 1-1 here on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back after a quick break. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey bringing you the 6th inning of play. Still a 1-1 game, and coming up to bat for the YD Red Sox, it will be Tate Samuelson, followed by Noah Campbell and Wyatt Young. So Harwich still not out of the woods yet, a 1-1 score, but they have put themselves in a pretty good position. You get the feeling this could certainly be a 2-1 game one way or the other with how these two teams have pitched.
Yeah, and I mean, a big issue still plaguing the YD Red Sox is not being able to drive runners home after putting them in scoring position.
Yep, so far in this game already, they have stranded a total of 5 runners on base. When you add that to the 14 from the other day, it makes for a bit of a messy situation as this ball is fouled away and Polish is out ahead of a hitter here, 1-2.
But credit to YD, they've been making some solid contact. I mean, Jack Thomas Wald just missed a home run in his first at-bat, and then he actually just missed another one in the second that turned into a double play.
Here's some solid contact on a ball taken to center field. Plenty of time for Dylan Noisy to settle under it, though, and he'll make the catch for out number 1. So, yeah, it seems like the ball has been popping off the bat for YD, but in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark and in the confines of White House Field, it's tough to get one over that outfield fence.
And ironically, the one home run in this game has come from Corey Afton for the Harwich Mariners on a ball that wasn't exactly hit all that hard. It just kept carrying and just tucked inside of that left field foul pole.
So a fresh count coming up here to Noah Campbell. Campbell is 0 for 2 today, 0 for 7 this postseason, which means he's certainly due for a hit. First pitch misses low from Jacob Polish for ball 1.
Polish has really settled down after that shaky third inning, as limiting a lot more contact.
And when one of the shakiest innings of his entire season entails giving up 3 hits and 1 run, that's really says something about what Jacob Polish has accomplished this year. As the 1-1 pitch is up and coming here to Noah Campbell, and he'll take it for strike 2. The other thing about Jacob Polish, again, you look at the numbers, a .77 ERA. He's given up just 2 runs in the entire month of July, but more importantly, he's been thrown into quite a few games. It's not like that's a small sample size. He's pitched in now 5 games, and here he gets Noah Campbell to swing through strike 3 for his 6th strikeout of the outing.
And the crazy thing about Polish, it seems like almost every start he's made has been on the road. We haven't seen him a whole lot this season at White House Field, so pitching on the road is no easy task, and he's just done a phenomenal job all season long. I'm sure it's refreshing for him to finally get an opportunity to pitch out in front of here. This is actually his 2nd straight start at home, as he had started against Brewster to clinch the playoffs for the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, he started his career out with the Harwich Mariners, 3 straight road games, including 2 against the Wareham Gatemen. That's the other thing. He was the bane of the Wareham Gatemen's existence.
Yes, he was.
As he got 3 of the wins as Harwich got a season sweep of the defending champs, and in those games, Harwich allowed just 2 runs. Polish himself allowed just 1 of those. So, I mean, he just absolutely torched that lineup top to bottom, as swinging through this one and fouling it off is Wyatt Young. Harwich playing for a big thing today as the Katuitt Cavaliers clinch a spot in the CCBL final. Harwich, with a win today, can advance and play them in Game 1 tomorrow with a shot at the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship title on the line. The 0-2 pitch. Misses low and away. Wyatt Young will watch it for ball 1.
How about the man saying the batter's box? Really good to see Wyatt Young back in the lineup after dealing with an injury. Had to wonder if maybe his season was over, but he's back out there.
And he is jammed, but somehow pushes one through the 5-hole. So with a 1-2 count, Wyatt Young finds his way aboard, and once again the YD Red Sox have a runner on base with 2 out in the inning.
He's got such an old school swing, kind of a put the ball in play and try to get a ball into a gap with that opposite field swing from Wyatt Young, and not a whole lot of power. He did have a home run earlier in the season, but just doing his job getting on base, kind of like Ichiro Suzuki in the way that he swings, just flaring the ball into left, center, and right for singles, and I'm sure the YD Red Sox very welcome to have him back in the lineup.
So how about this, Colin? The YD Red Sox have scored 2 runs throughout the course of the series. They have had a runner on base in 12 of the 14 innings that have been played so far, with the exception of the 9th inning of Game 1 and the 1st inning of Game 2. So they've had the guys on base as Noah Cardenas comes to the plate. The first pitch to him misses in the dirt. Good block by Winkle. Very quickly, Wyatt Young thought about moving up, but he'll step back, and the count stays 1-0.
Yeah, it looked like Winkle took an extra second to try to find that ball. He wasn't sure that if it was to his left or right. He had looked to his left initially, and Young got a good secondary lead, but decided not to be aggressive here with 2 away in the inning.
Well, that was a high IQ play by Pat Winkle. It looked like he actually faked as though he had the ball and then went to locate it. So he forced Young to stop all of his forward momentum towards second base, and he continues to stand over there at first. Cardenas has reached base twice in today's game, a hit by pitch and a single, and he'll take a big cut at a fastball upstairs for strike 1. Nobody scored on either side in the 5th inning. YD's 1 run came back in the 3rd. Harwich's came immediately following in the 4th. Noah Cardenas ready for the 1-1 pitch. Wyatt Young standing on first, 2 away in the inning. And Polish's pitch is going to be hit out to right field. Plenty of time for Weimer. He has to run in pretty quickly, but he makes the catch comfortably for out number 3. Another inning down, at least half of it. We go to the home half of the 6th. Mariners looking to take the lead when we come back here on the Harwich YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Bottom of the 6th coming up here. Harwich looking for a run to potentially get themselves back on top here. Actually, it would be their first lead of the game as we're tied up 1-1. Up next for the Harwich Mariners will be 1, 2, and 3. It'll be Dylan Noisy, Chris Gallen, and Chris Lanzillo. And Colin, you get the feeling again, one more run could be all it takes for the Mariners, who so far have allowed just 1 run per game throughout the first 4 games of the series.
Yeah, and really all season long, games between these two teams, especially at White House Field, have been really close. I mean, 1-1-1, both teams' records right here at White House Field against each other coming into today. So this is essentially a rubber match for the season for games between those two at White House Field. And the big thing also is a couple of pitchers' duels mixed into there. You had the 4-4 tie where, generally speaking, it was great pitching from both teams. The 3-1 victory for YD early in the season. Then you had the one outlier, a 9-4 win for the Mariners back in the middle of the season. So whoever wins this one will have the season series, and for Harwich, if they're able to come away with a victory, it would vault them into the championship series as they look for their first championship since 2011.
And once again, the Harwich Mariners would be playing against the Katuitt Cavaliers. Game 1 would be tomorrow, that much we know, and we will have updates for you on Twitter as to what time that game would be. If Harwich can come away with a win, Noisy trying to put Harwich on top with one swing of the bat, and he cuts through an off-speed pitch to start the count off behind 0-1.
Of course, Katuitt will be looking for their 17th championship in program history.
Yeah, the Katuitt Cavaliers have had an absurd amount of success as this pitch is going to be swung on and missed. Little check swing from Noisy to make the count 0-2. And yeah, when you look at it, they have the 3rd most recent Cape Cod Baseball League title coming in 2013. They also have the most of anybody with 16 titles, as the 0-2 pitch misses high to Dylan Noisy. And part of the reason why, you're wondering, well, if they won in 2013, how do they have the 3rd most recent Cape Cod Baseball League title? Actually, the 4th most with Wareham. The reasoning is YD won 3 in a row. They had a 3-peat in the CCBL, and that left a gap between 2016, 15, and 14 as Noisy goes down looking for out number 1. Yeah,
but since then for YD, there's a couple of early round exits in 2017 and 18, and they're looking to kind of buck that trend in 2019, but they're going to have to come back down 1-0 to a Harwich Mariners team looking for their 5th championship in team history.
Harwich, a team that's had a lot of their success more recently, as the first pitch is in there for a strike to Chris Gallen, who today is 0-2. But yeah, you look at Harwich and where their titles have come. They had 1 in 83, 1 in 87, and then 1 in 2008 and 1 in 2011. They've been a more or less perennial playoff team as of late, as Gallen misses the 0-1, and the count goes 0-2 here on the Mariners left fielder.
Yeah, those championships basically coming in pairs for every 5-year spans, so to speak. 2 in the 80s and then 2 recently.
0-2 misses high to Gallen, and yeah, I mean, you look at Harwich throughout the ages. Their first playoff appearance came in 1968. They lost to Falmouth in the playoffs, and they went on to win the CCBL that year. Then they dropped back-to-back championship series to the Hyannis Mets in 78 and 79. As this one misses inside, they finally broke through in 1983 with a win over the Katuitt Cavaliers. Then they won their 2nd title against this YD Red Sox team in 1987. They were swept by Wareham in the championship series the following year, and then an 11-year playoff drought before beating Katuitt again in 2008. Gallen will be called out. He can't believe it That pitch looked awfully inside, but it's going to be ruled strike 3 by home plate umpire Joe Caraco, and that'll be the second out of the inning.
That's now 6 in a row retired by Ryan Hare after giving up that solo home run to Corey Acton in the 4th inning, and back-to-back strikeouts, 3 strikeouts in his last 4 batters faced. I mean, credit to Ryan Hare coming out here and giving his team an opportunity to win on the road.
So looking at this, I think the most interesting thing that I'm noticing, something that I didn't really look at before just because it wasn't relevant, is as this pitch misses inside to Chris Lanzillo, 2 of the last 3 championships the Mariners have won have been over the Katuitt Cavaliers.
Wow, that's very interesting.
So it would potentially be a chance to make 3 out of 4 if they can find a way to come back in. As this one is hammered. That's a no-doubter. Chris Lanzillo. Oh boy, just short. I spoke too soon. White House Field does it again. He smashed that ball, and somehow it stays just inside the park for out number 3. We will step away, and when we come back, the 7th inning of play here on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey. I want to remind you that today's game is brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. To learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive, go to capecodhealth.org/blood center. That's capecod.org/blood center.
Jacob Polish's night is done for the first time with the Harwich Mariners. He will not get a decision in a game in which he started, as it is still 1-1 after 6. The new pitcher set to go is Nick Stewart, the right-hander out of James Madison, appearing in his 2nd game in the playoffs against Chatham in that first series. He went 2 innings, giving up 1 earned run on 2 hits while striking out 2. And Tyler, it's possible he could be going 3 innings in this one. We'll have to see how everything else works out. But another solid start from Jacob Polish, but just not enough run support to put him in line for the win.
Well, Nick Stewart, his last 2 appearances have been both games against Chatham. One where he finished off a complete game shutout, one where he finished off a complete game no-hitter. So, again, he's used to coming into these 3-inning save situations as the first pitch misses high to Jack Thomas Wald, and we'll see whether or not they stick with him here to close this one out.
Wald has had a couple of loud outs in this game, a fly out to center and a fly out to right that resulted in a double play after Noah Cardenas was doubled off to end the inning at first. And this is a broken bat pop-up over towards first. Lanzillo waiting under it, makes the catch, and for the 3rd time, Wald is retired, 1 away to begin the 7th.
Yeah, and taking a look at Nick Stewart, I mean, again, he has been dynamite for this Harwich Mariners team all season long. Some really good stuff that he can throw. It's a fastball that comes in around 95, a circle change, and a slider. And when the off-speed doesn't work, he's a guy who will just hammer the strike zone with fastballs. And guys haven't really been able to figure that out so far this year, so we'll see whether or not he can put together yet another impressive run.
Eister 1 for 2 with the lone run of the ball game, coming back in the 3rd inning. Driven in on a Tate Samuelson 2-out RBI single. Made the game 1-0 at the time, has since been tied by a Corey Acton solo shot down the left field line. Eister struck out in his last at-bat swinging. Get his first opportunity against Nick Stewart, and he takes a 1-0 at the knees.
So throughout the course of the 2019 season, Nick Stewart is 2-1, a 4.68 ERA. But recently he's looked a lot better. 32 strikeouts to only 9 walks this year in 25 innings.
The 1-1 misses low. And this is his 6th appearance at White House Field. He's actually relatively pitched better on the road compared to at home, but last time out right here in that playoff game, the clincher against Chatham, he pitched 2 pretty strong innings, giving up just the 1 earned run. The 2-1 is low for ball 3.
Yeah, and of course, Nick Stewart's first appearance of the year came in a game against Katua where he was the starter. He gave up the 5 runs, and all of them were earned. Since then, he's looked awfully good out of the bullpen, allowing just 7 runs, and he's only allowed 3 over the course of his last 4 appearances.
The 3-1 to Andrew Eister is a high pop-up. Over on the right side, Winkle's going to go after it. In comes Lanzillo, and he will call off the catcher to make the catch. So a couple of pop-outs to first, and a slow start to the top of the 7th for the YD Red Sox, now 2 away.
Yep, and here comes the top of the order, who again, they've only had 1 hit. They've reached base twice today, a bunt single from Austin Wells, and then a walk by Riley King. But aside from that, this is a top 3 in the order that is just 1 for 9, or 1 for 8, I should say, with 3 strikeouts.
Brad Beasley now 7 of 30 on the season against the Harwich Mariners. He does have a home run, that one coming at Red Wilson Field. He takes first pitch fastball in the outside corner. Couple of strikeouts and a flyout for Beasley. So he looks to pick things up at the plate, but he falls behind 0-2 as Stewart continues to pound the strike zone with that fastball.
Yep, and again, if the off-speed isn't working for him, that's what we're going to see him do. He is just going to rip pitch after pitch into the zone and dare these guys to try to catch up to it.
Right-hander Carlos Lamelli warming in the pen for the YD Red Sox. The 0-2's on the outside corner for strike 3. A 1-2-3, top of the 7th for Nick Stewart. We head to the 7th inning stretch, tied 1-1. The Mariners look to take a lead and punch their ticket to the CCBL Championship Series. You're watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the 7th inning, 1-1 is the score. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry as the Harwich Mariners and YD Red Sox deadlocked at 1 even. Ryan Hare, the starter for YD, his night is over, but a very strong outing from him, going 6 innings, surrendering the 1 run on a solo shot from Corey Acton. Go along with 2 hits, just the 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and he turns the ball over to a guy who has not done well against the Harwich Mariners this season. It is Carlos Lamelli. Lamelli has appeared twice right here at White House Field and has given up a total of 6 earned runs in those 2 appearances.
Yeah, he hasn't done super well against anybody this year with an 8.57 ERA, but when you look at the Harwich Mariners in, again, a relatively small sample size, that number jumps to 23.4. So, again, this is a guy who has really struggled, and as he has announced coming into the game, you hear some cheers for Harwich. The first guy he'll face is Nico Cavanus.
First pitch to Nico misses outside. Lamelli appeared against Orleans in the first game of that series, and despite getting the win, he didn't pitch all that great, going 3 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 4, as sidearm delivery misses low and inside.
Yeah, he allowed 4 runs against the Harwich Mariners in a 4-9 loss for the YD Red Sox, that on July 19th. Then on July 26th, he gave up 2 runs and a 4-4 tie right here at White House.
2-0 is a fastball in that ties up Cavanus.
The last time that he pitched and did not give up a run, it was a 2-inning stint against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. That is the only time in the month of July when he came in and did not allow any runs.
The 2-1. That's going to miss low. His first start of the season actually went pretty well all the way back on June 12th against the Wareham Gatemen. Went 5 innings, giving up just 3 earned on 6 hits, and struck out 5 batters without surrendering any walks. Only gone south for Lamelli as the 3-1 is on the corner for a strike. Cavanus about to send his bat towards the Mariners dugout.
And looking through the numbers, 21 innings pitched for Lamelli this year. He's given up 32 hits, just the 6 walks. So his control is very good, and 21 strikeouts. But the hits have really been what's come back to bite him, as he is one of the more hittable pitchers in the CCBL.
Payoff pitch swung on and missed for strike 3. Brought the heat inside on Cavanus, who continues to struggle here in the playoffs. He is now 0 for 3 tonight. There's one away in the bottom of the 7th.
Yep, but here comes Corey Acton. He's already got 1 home run in this game, and another one would potentially give the Mariners a 1-run lead. Of course, he's got to focus on putting it in play. Can't be too focused on trying to put it over the fence. And really quickly as I say that, there's a new arm warming up in the YD bullpen, so you wonder whether or not Lamelli has just been brought in for this inning.
Looks like Nolan McCarthy warming up. We saw him in Game 1. He didn't pitch all that long, so he is relatively fresh, especially with the off day in between games. For Corey Acton, he owns both of Harwich's hits in this game. Also singled back in the 2nd before the home run, and he lays off a breaking ball inside.
And for as little control issues as Lamelli's had this year, we do see him struggle early on in counts as he's fallen behind both Nico Cavanus and now Corey Acton.
Acton has scored 4 times against the YD Red Sox this season. He's in a tremendous hitters count now as Lamelli struggles to find the strike zone 3-0.
And for a guy as hot as Acton, the safe bet would be to give him the take sign, but we may see them leave the green light on for him and see whether or not he can tee something up here.
3-0 is going to miss low and outside for ball 4, so it's a 1-out walk for Corey Acton. He reaches base for the 3rd time in this game, and let's see if these 6 through 9 hitters can pick things up. They are a combined 0 for 8 in this ball game.
Well, that's the thing. Corey Acton has reached base 3 times today. Dylan Noisy has reached base once. Other than that, nobody's touched the base paths for the Mariners, and it was a walk for Noisy. So the only hits of the day belong to Corey Acton. Here comes Joey Weimer. The situation obviously has changed, as now it is Carlos Lamelli into the game instead of Ryan Hare. This is probably the best chance Harwich has had all day, maybe the best chance they will get with Lamelli in the game.
First pitch to Weimer, a very late swing, and it is fouled off. Weimer a couple of ground outs in this game.
And right now they've got a shift on, so the infield is not at double play depth. Right now they've got Wyatt Young plugging up the 5-hole, and then they have Noah Campbell playing right behind the second base bat.
0-1 is hit on the ground through the right side for a base hit. Acton rounding second. He's going to go to third. Weimer's going to try for second, and he is in to second base. 2 runners in scoring position for the Mariners. The go-ahead run at third, and Pat Winkle coming to the plate.
Joey Weimer lost his helmet. He was running so fast, and you want to talk about a guy who runs the bases aggressively. Weimer never for a moment hesitated there. He rounded first. He knew he was getting into second base, and he was going to test the arm of Andrew Eister. It caught Eister completely off guard as he doesn't even make a throw. And as you mentioned, the Mariners have the go-ahead run just 90 feet away here with 1 out in the inning and Pat Winkle at the dish.
It was a tough play over at first base, and ball just simply got through, and now that'll bring the YD infield in. Second and third, 1 away, and Pat Winkle, who had a couple of hits yesterday, including a home run, with an opportunity to, at the very least, give Harwich a lead with just a simple fly ball. And we're going to get a quick mound visit as Cardenas is going to head out.
Colin, it also looks like we'll have another substitution, as at least for the time being, it is Mike Ludwig standing on deck for the Harwich Mariners, so potentially a switch here as that would take Max Marshak out of the game with an 0 for 2 today and 2 strikeouts, and that's not a big surprise.
And looking over at first base, it looks like the YD Red Sox have maybe made a change over at first. I don't know if that's Samuelson or not. Actually, it does in fact look like Samuelson. It looked like he had the glove on the other hand, so that threw me off a little bit. But the infield is in with Weimer at second and Acton at third. The freshman catcher from UConn with a golden opportunity against Carlos Lamelli. McCarthy continues to warm for YD. And here comes the first pitch. Swung on and missed for strike one.
Yeah, it looks like Winkle maybe a little too eager there. Again, he's 2 for 7 this postseason coming into today's game, now 2 for 9. The solo shot was big, but a single does the same thing. Even a ball anywhere on the outfield grass does the same thing. It could be a bloop too with the infield playing in, ready to cut down the runner. Just find a way to put the ball in play and let everything else play itself out. There's no double play unless you line one to somebody.
0-1, and Winkle takes a big cut at it, but can only foul it straight back. And boy, this would be a huge out for Carlos Lamelli if he's able to strike out Winkle and put 2 away with runners in scoring position.
I mean, for Lamelli, it's got to feel like a whole lot of here we go again. Seems like he's been put in this or he's put himself in this situation a number of times, and he did it here today. A walk and then a double. That's the 2 runners on base.
0-2 is a fly ball out towards left field. Wells tracking it. Let's see if it's deep enough. He makes the catch. Coming from third is Afton. The throw is not going to be in time. Weimer tags up, heads to third. The throw, and he is safe. So heads up base running by Weimer. Afton scores. It's an RBI sacrifice fly for Pat Winkle, and the Mariners lead it 2-1.
Yeah, and once again, aggressive base running, the name of the game for the Mariners. That puts them in a situation to succeed every single time. And they have another insurance run now, just 90 feet away, and Joey Weimer with 2 outs, and Mike Ludwig coming to the plate.
So Mike Ludwig will pinch hit with 2 down, and an important insurance run standing on third base, and looks like Lamelli will stay in the ball game. He was able to generate weak contact, but enough strength from Winkle to fight that pitch out into left field, and despite Wells having the arm of a catcher, couldn't quite get that throw home to Cardenas in time. So Lamelli will remain in the ball game for the time being. The pinch hitter, of course, being Mike Ludwig.
Yep, Ludwig so far just 1 at bat. He reached on a walk, so no official AB listed for him so far. And they're going to appeal down to third base, and nothing doing there. So they wanted to contest that maybe Corey Acton stepped off the bag a little too early. He did not. And you might as well check, as now we will see Coach Scott Pickler come out and have a word with his hurler. This may be the end of the road here for Carlos Lamelli. It was an interesting move to even bring him in, but you get the feeling his leash has probably already hit its extent.
So Pickler heads out there. He'll talk with the pitcher. I mean, and that's actually going to be any motions to the bullpen. So that's going to be it for Lamelli. He goes 2/3 of an inning, still responsible for the runner Weimer on third, and with 1 home in the inning, he's in line for what would be his 4th loss of the game. In comes McCarthy. We'll take a quick break and tell you more about him when we come back. The Mariners take the lead here in the bottom of the 7th, 2-1, as they're 1 win away from going to the CCBL Championship Series. Bottom of the 7th, 2 away in the inning, 1 already home, and a new pitcher. It's actually going to be Oscar Carvajal, a guy who wasn't really warming to start the inning, but it seems like Coach Pickler got him up in favor of Noel McCarthy, and he will be tasked with getting the final out of the 7th and keeping the deficit at just 1 run.
Yep, and that's going to be a tall task, as coming to the plate will be Mike Ludwig. Again, Ludwig has not had an official at bat this postseason. He reached on a walk, but Colin, we've seen what he's been able to accomplish all season long, and what he's been able to accomplish against the YD Red Sox, a team that he's hit exceptionally well this year.
Makes sense to bring him in, as Max Marshak had been struggling at the plate. Marshak was 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, and Ludwig 2 for 7 against the YD Red Sox this season. He has struck out 3 times, so could be a hit, could be a strikeout. You never know with Mike Ludwig at the plate, but he gets an opportunity with Joey Weimer on third and 2 down in the bottom of the 7th. Carvajal looks in. He comes set. And the first pitch is a ground ball, left side, slow roller. That's going to be a tough play. Charging. The throw by King, not in time. An RBI infield single brings home an insurance run. Mike Ludwig comes through off the bench. It is 3-1 Harwich.
And I don't think there's not a word to explain how big that insurance run is, because a 2-run lead is a lot tougher to come back on, especially against Harwich pitching. Nick Stewart has looked very good this year, so here we go. I mean, both of those runs given up to Carlos Lamelli. That's got to be the most head-scratching move of the entire season by Scott Pickler to bring him into this game.
It certainly backfires as the Mariners lead is up to 2. And with the bases, with the runner on first now and 2 away, Hal Hughes will get an opportunity to keep the inning alive. Hughes is 0 for 2 with a couple of pop-outs. Carvajal looking to just limit the damage. First pitch is hit a ton out towards left field and deep. Going into the corner, it is gone! 2-run home run, Hal Hughes, his first of the season, and the Mariners lead at 5-1. Hal Hughes continues to have success in the playoffs. His teammates cheering him on. He touches home, and the Harwich faithful has gone berserk here at White House Field.
That is what we like to call a knockout punch. Hal Hughes, who had not had a single home run this season, said he felt like he could go yard a few days ago against Chatham, and you saw the entire dugout step onto the field and watch that ball tuck once again just over the foul pole. First home run of the year for the speedster out of LSU, and it gives Harwich a 5-1 lead here in the 7th.
A 4-run 7th inning for the Mariners in the bottom of the 7th. After the 7th inning stretch, they have just come to pour it on. And all of this, again, a lot of it coming with 2 outs. 3 of the 4 runs scored with 2 away in the inning as Dylan Noisy swings at a pitch in the dirt. And if you're Scott Pickler, you got to be really frustrated that your bullpen once again unable to get it done against the Mariners.
I mean, we knew that Harwich, that Whitey didn't have a ton of arms to bring in necessarily, and their bullpen's been scrapped in all year long. So, not the biggest surprise in the world.
Slow roller to second. The throw from Campbell is in time, but boy, the damage has been done as an RBI sac fly from Winkle, an RBI single from Mike Ludwig, and a big 2-run shot from LSU's Hal Hughes makes a 4-run 7th inning for the Mariners. They lead at 5-1, 6 outs away from going to the CCBL championship. When we come back, we'll have the top of the 8th. Harwich Mariners lead it 5-1. You are watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. To the 8th inning we go. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. The Harwich Mariners with a huge 4-run 7th inning. And Tyler, just an unbelievable moment for Hal Hughes, who had a lot of struggles earlier in the season at the plate. He has slowly gotten better and had a strong start to this postseason. And now the highlight being a big 2-run insurance home run to give his team a 5-1 lead.
I mean, at one point, he was considered a defensive specialist. He was the guy that Harwich kept in there for his glove. Now, he's been the hottest bat in the lineup for anybody this postseason, and he's bolstered Harwich to a 5-1 lead here. Now all they have to do is hold it.
So Nick Stewart tasked with the job as first pitch he throws is on the inside corner to Riley King.
And
King 0 for 2 with a walk.
And let's really quickly just go through the Harwich Mariners' last 5 important games and where the scoring has come from as the 0-1 misses up and in. In a game where they needed to clinch against the Brewster Whitecaps, they scored 6 runs in the 2nd inning. That was all they would get that day. Against the Chatham Anglers, they score 1 run in the 6th, the only runs that they would get that day, but they don't give anything up. Against Chatham in Game 2, a 4-run 2nd inning. as this one's in there for a strike. The only runs they score that day. Game 1 against the YD Red Sox, they scored 2 in the 5th and 3 in the 7th. But here, it's a 4-run 7th inning that gives them a 4-run lead. And now, the best pitching staff in the entire CCBL is tasked with holding it.
1-2 is swung on and fouled off to the right. And for the YD Red Sox, you just kind of have to sit back and wonder what in the world happened. I mean, offensively, they have been hitting the ball well, but just unable to capitalize in scoring spots 2 days ago, and today, the wheels falling off of the bullpen in the 7th inning. 1-2 is in there for strike 3. Riley King looks at a fastball in the outside corner, and Nick Stewart picks up his second strikeout, 1 down in the 8th.
There have been a lot of looking strikeouts in this game, and that just shows what Harwich has been able to do with the corners. They've been painting it perfectly. And once again, Nick Stewart able to get another guy retired via the strikeout. That'll be his second of the day. 2 consecutive, and now he'll face Austin Wells.
Wells 1 for 3, his lone hit coming in the 3rd inning. And he swings the first pitch and can't come up with it. And once again, Tyler, YD able to score first, and then all of a sudden, just no runs after that. 5 unanswered again.
Yep, Harwich, the same exact situation as you mentioned. They go down 1-0, they score 5 unanswered. The question is, will we have another 5-1 game when all's said and done?
The 0-1 is in at the knees for strike 2, and Nick Stewart just in control. He has certainly been a key part of this bullpen so far in the playoffs. Had some big innings against the Anglers right here at White House Field, and looking to continue that success against the YD Red Sox. 0-2 is in there for strike 3. Austin Wells watches a fastball right down the middle, and it's back-to-back strikeouts to begin the 8th for Nick Stewart.
Yeah, once again, Nick Stewart is locked in. 3 consecutive strikeouts now. All 3 have been looking. Not a single swinging strike 3, and he has really got YD confused as to what he's putting out there.
4 more outs, and the Mariners have a date with the Kettleers. It'll be Tate Samuelson who has the lone RBI in this game for the Red Sox, and he swings and misses at a Stewart fastball.
And you already know Harwich would love a chance to play a Katuitt team that this year, at least the last 2 times they've seen them, one unofficially and one officially, they have just beaten the pine tar out of. I mean, they have done an excellent job hitting Katuitt pitching throughout the course of the season.
A jam shot by Samuelson goes out of play, and you mentioned the unofficially. It was a 12-0 game through 4 innings for the Mariners. Unfortunately, they weren't able to complete that game, but they came right back to Lowell Park and ended up beating them 9-1. Didn't even matter. They continued to have success at the plate. So here comes the 0-2 pitch. Fouled off yet again.
And again, it's kind of crazy to think that the reason Harwich would potentially have home field advantage is thanks in great part to the Brewster Whitecaps. Not just for losing the game that sent Harwich to the postseason, but for absolutely dominating during the All-Star game, because again, the East winning the All-Star game would give Harwich the 3rd tiebreaker with Katuitt if that is the matchup, and give Harwich home field advantage.
Stewart's 0-2, fouled off yet again by Tate Samuelson.
And you know Samuelson's probably going to swing at every single pitch from here until the end of the at-bat, no matter what the result is. He's seen 3 guys in a row go down looking. Anything even remotely close, if it's in the same zip code, he's going to try to put some wood on it.
Noah Campbell in the on-deck circle. Still looking for his first hit in the series. The 0-2 from Stewart, a breaking ball that misses in. Pretty hard breaking ball from Stewart.
Yeah, it looked like that thing didn't have as much movement as he was expecting, though, as it just doesn't quite cut into the zone. So, count 1 and 2 here. He was trying to get a little backdoor action there and sweep that one from the wrists out into the strike zone of Tate Samuelson.
The 1-2. Breaking ball in the dirt, and Samuelson patiently watches. A run on 6 hits for YD so far. Once again, 5 runs on 5 hits for Harwich. Very reminiscent of 2 days ago so far. The 2-2. Fouled off again. A tough at-bat from Samuelson. Of course, in the game 2 days ago, YD committed 5 errors, and 4 of the 5 runs scored by the Mariners were unearned. This time it's just been the Mariners' bats. A couple of home runs from guys who had struggled early in their Harwich careers and have certainly turned a corner at this point. The 2-2 is fouled off yet again by Samuelson.
The team that Harwich beat in 2011 was actually the Falmouth Commodores, so they were going to get one of the two teams that they swept in consecutive appearances in the CCBL Championship Series. Of course, they got the 2008 win 2-0 over Katuitt. They got the 2011 win 2-0 over Falmouth. And that's the thing, too, Colin. They may have only been to the Championship Series twice since 1987, but they're 2-0 and they've gotten there.
The 2-2. And spoiling yet another pitch off to the right is Tate Samuelson.
Yep, he's fighting. I mean, give him credit. He's doing everything he can to keep this inning alive. He knows that his team is down to their final 4 outs here. And it's a pretty good set coming up after this with Noah Campbell, Wyatt Young, and Noah Cardenas. Those guys have reached base a total of 4 times in today's game, but he wants to try to keep it alive for now if he can.
Stewart with another 2-2. Fouled off.
Of course, you look at the history not only of the team, but you look at the history of Coach Steve Engler, who's been with the team since 1998. This is his 16th season, and he has just been crazy night and day difference for this team since taking over the reins, including the 2 championships that he has brought this team to.
Had been a 20-year drought when he won his first one in 2008 with the team. Been 8 since the last one in 2011. The 2-2 is fouled off yet again, and I'm sure the YD crowd very appreciative of this Herculean at-bat so far from Samuelson.
I mean, Samuelson's going to be facing the 10th pitch of the at-bat here. He has been fouling off pitches left and right. And the other thing to keep an eye on here is right now nobody really warming up in the Harwich bullpen. A couple of guys stretching. But if Stewart can go the rest of the way, you're going to go into the championship series potentially with a rested Joe Boyle, a rested Will Heflin. Connor McCullough will be ready to go for at least one of these games, and Connor Seckler ready for another one.
2-2 is hitting the air out towards right. Weimer moving towards the line, and he makes the catch. The Harwich Mariners are 3 outs away from the CCBL Championship Series against Katuitt. We head to the bottom of the 8th. 5-1 is the score. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. The Harwich Mariners will get another opportunity to pad onto their 5-1 lead after a huge 4-run 7th inning. They will try to add to it with their 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up: Chris Gallen, Chris Lanzillo, and Nico Cavanus. And Tyler, as of right now, it looks like Nick Stewart would pitch a 9th inning, and honestly at this point, why not?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the biggest thing with Nick Stewart. He's come into his last 2 games. He's pitched 3 scoreless and 4 scoreless. One was a part of the victory over Chatham at the end of the regular season. It was a complete game shutout. The other was as a part of a complete game no-hitter. So far, he has not allowed a single run throughout the course of his last 10 innings pitched. And with one more to get and a 4-run lead, if you can keep the rest of your bullpen fresh for the championship series, which again, keep in mind, if this score holds, would start tomorrow, could be absolutely essential to Harwich's success in that series.
So here comes Chris Galland. It's 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. In fact, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters combined 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts in the ball game. And Galland will show bunt, but he pulls back in time. Galland, all 3 of those at-bats coming against a very strong starting pitching performance from Ryan Hare. And that's the thing. YD Red Sox have gotten some great starting pitching in this game.
Well, once again, it'll be a game where Ryan Hare comes in, pitches relatively well, and may or may not be walking away with a loss.
1-0 pitch is in the dirt.
Well, not a loss, but a team loss for the YD Red Sox, as the loss would, of course, go to Carlos Lamelli, who continues to just give up runs in bunches against the M's.
Noel McCarthy once again up and warming, as a 2-0 is in for a strike. Looked like McCarthy might have been the one to come in for Lamelli in the first place, but instead Carvajal comes in and gives up what could be the death blow, a 2-run shot to Hal Hughes as 2-1 is in for a strike. That, by the way, was Hal Hughes' second home run in terms of CCBL action and at LSU. Not a huge power threat, but boy, what a clutch home run that one was in the 7th inning. The 2-2 is in the dirt, and Cardenas catches it off of the inside of his arm. Seems like he's okay.
Well, you got to think, it was a tough season for Hal Hughes offensively at LSU this year. As through 53 games played, he had an average of just 174, 2 extra base hits. That's all he managed all season long. And that one home run that he had actually came last year. It was during his freshman season at LSU. So this is his first home run during the 2019 campaign at all.
3-2 is fouled off of Gallen's foot.
I mean, he also had 28 strikeouts to only 19 walks and 11 RBIs for him throughout the entire course of the year. But his defense is so good, and he has the offensive capabilities. We know what he can do. And finally, here at the tail end of the Harwich season, he's able to put it all together and really up his stock in terms of what he can do, not only for LSU, but maybe for an MLB team down the line.
3-2 is a breaking ball that misses inside, so the speedy Chris Gallen reaches via walk. This is the first time he's reached base in this ball game, and up comes the heart of the lineup. Here's Chris Lanzillo, who just missed a home run in his last at-bat back in the 6th.
Yeah, he didn't miss it by much. And again, any other ballpark in the entire Cape Cod Baseball League, that thing is gone. But here at White House Field, it hangs up just long enough for Austin Wells to make the catch at the fence. He's got some speed on first base now in Chris Gallen. Gallen, the team leader in stolen bases, standing on with nobody out. Of course, this is just the second time Chris Gallen has found his way on base. 2 walks is all he's been able to amass this postseason.
Shift is on Lanzillo. First pitch, he's going to square around. Bunts it. Carvajal has trouble handling it. The throw not going to be in time. Chris Lanzillo reaches base, and it's 2 on, nobody out in the bottom of the 8th.
And that could have been so much worse if Carvajal had not made the throw in a decent spot, because, again, that was not a good throw by Oscar Carvajal, but somehow it's able to find the mid of Tate Samuelson. So the damage is limited. Here comes Nico Cavanus now. They're going to rule that, I believe, a hit, as it would have been a close play at first. So that's Chris Lanzillo's first hit here in the postseason. And the 3 quietest bats in the Harwich lineup have now reached back-to-back-to-back as here comes Riley Terrata to pinch run for Chris Lanzillo.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that means that Cavanus is probably going to move over to first base in the top half of the inning. And how about this? Riley Terrata gets an opportunity against his former team to pinch run. Wouldn't that be something he was able to tack on an insurance run against his former squad? So now Terrata, the runner at first, still at second is Galland, a lot of speed. And Nico Cavanus will dig in, still sitting at 9 home runs on the season.
Cavanus is 0 for 11 this postseason. He is 0 for 3 today with 2 strikeouts. But again, the last couple of guys had also struggled and both found their way on base. See if Cavanus can find a way to maintain that hitting streak.
Oscar Carvajal will snap throw on to Gallen, but Young's tag not nearly in time.
And Carvajal looks frustrated. You could kind of tell in his body language when he threw that ball to second base. He looks very, very uncomfortable right now. Pitching out of the stretch, facing a slugger in Nico Cavanus, and his team trailing by 4, part of which is his fault, as he gave up a 2-run home run to Hal Hughes.
First pitch to Cavanus is over for a strike.
There is another arm up and warming right now in the YD bullpen. We'll see whether or not it's even necessary, as the hope for them is that Carvajal can get out of the inning with a 4-run deficit, and then they can put the offense to work trying to get those runs back. But that's going to be easier said than done with Nick Stewart coming back out for another inning.
The 0-1 is on the inside corner to Cavanus. Carvajal picked up the save in Game 1 against the Orleans Firebirds. He still surrendered a run in that game, but was able to hang on for an 8-7 victory. This time, complete disaster, trying to clean up the mess in the bottom of the 7th inning. The 0-2 is foul tipped and held onto for strike 3. Wasn't sure if that ball might have hit the dirt first, but it looked like Cardenas got his glove under it, and it's a much-needed strikeout for Carvajal, 1 down.
So here comes the hottest hitter in the Harwich lineup, Corey Afton, who has reached base 3 times today. He's scored twice today, a single, a home run, and a walk. 2 runs scored, 1 RBI, and he's got an opportunity to maybe add a few more insurance runs here to this 4-run Harwich lead.
Another clutch game from Corey Afton. He has had quite a few over the last few weeks with the Harwich Mariners. First pitch, breaking ball in the dirt. Look back to Afton having that huge game, including a 3-run home run and an 11-0 victory against Chatham towards the end of the regular season. One of those games that helped Harwich inch closer to a playoff spot. Remember, this Harwich team, a 4 seed coming into the playoffs, as the 1-0 is swung on and missed.
Well, and of course, the Katuitt Cavaliers coming in as a 3 seed, so the 1 seeds both eliminated already. Chatham taken down by Harwich, Falmouth taken out just recently by Katuitt. And then, of course, the 2 seeds also at risk. Wareham going out against Katuitt in round 1, and YD at risk of getting bounced by the Mariners here in round 2.
1-1 swung on and missed.
I like the aggressiveness there by Corey Afton. Again, it's one of those things where he knows the situation. His team is leading by 4. You might as well go for a big fly and try to put an even bigger charge into this big Harwich crowd.
Gallen still at second, Terada at first. Neither of them being held on too strictly. And as I say that, Wyatt Young breaks for second and a pickoff move, but Gallen is back.
Yep, another quick snap throw down to second. Nothing doing there, so the count stays 1-2 here. Still 1 away in the inning. Harwich leading at 5-1. Katuitt awaits the winner of today's game. If it's the Mariners, tomorrow's game, no matter who it is, if it comes down to that, but it's looking less and less like it will.
The 1-2. That's going to miss just low.
And once again, it looks like Carvajal kind of overthrowing a little bit himself, as he may have been reaching back for a little something extra to put on that one. Carvajal's had his struggles. He had just 1 inning pitch in the postseason. Coming into today's game, he had given up 1 run, 2 strikeouts and 1 walk.
2-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3. Gallen is going to be out as there was a runner occupying first base, but both runners move up to second and third as Gallen's at third, Terada at second, 2 away in the inning. And here comes the guy who had one of the biggest hits to really jumpstart that 7th inning, Joey Weimer. He doubled in his last at-bat.
And really quickly, it's Afton who's out at first with the runner occupying it. As you mentioned, Gallen moves up to third. So second and third here, 2 away. And Joey Weimer, who had the big double to break out of a tough streak for him in the postseason here, coming to the plate with a chance to maybe drive in a few more. Weimer has just 1 home run this year. Came at White House Field back in early June.
McCarthy continues to stir in the bullpen. First pitch to Weimer. Huge swing and a miss.
Well, he was looking to make it number 2. I kind of figured he would be, given the aggressiveness of Joey Weimer and just what he has done throughout the course of this season. He has looked exceptional at home this season, a batting average above 300 when playing in the confines of White House Field. See whether or not he can continue that here.
The 0-1 from Carvajal. Swing and a miss once again is Weimer very over-anxious in the box. There's a couple of big hacks, and he wasn't really that close on either of them.
Yeah, Weimer maybe waiting for another fastball there. Carvajal threw him a changeup, and there wasn't a whole lot he was going to do to catch up to that one once he had committed to the swing. So he falls behind 0-2. Carvajal looking to get out of the inning without any more damage done. He hasn't given up a run yet, but he's got a couple of them looming here for the M's.
Carvajal comes set. The 0-2. Fastball misses low. A snap throw down to third on Gallen by Cardenas, but Gallen is back in time standing.
Yeah, a little desperation here. We've seen a couple of throws that haven't been particularly close, but I mean, right now it's YD just trying to do everything they can to give themselves even a slight opportunity to come back and maybe send this to a game 3.
Campbell, Young, Cardenas due up next inning for the Red Sox. The 1-2 is a flare out towards shallow right. Eister coming in. Will he get there in time? Yes. He makes the running catch, and a couple of runners stranded in scoring position to end the 8th for the Harwich Mariners. However, they head to the 9th inning, 3 outs away from a berth in the CCBL Championship Series. We go to the 9th, Harwich 5, YD 1. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. welcome back to White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. A quick reminder of what's at stake. The Mariners 3 outs away from going to the CCBL Championship Series against the Katuitt Kettleers for the first time since 2011, where they won it against the Falmouth Commodores. They would be looking for their 5th championship in team history. But first, they got to record 3 more outs. Noah Campbell, Wyatt Young, Noah Cardenas leading things off. And here comes the switch hitting Noah Campbell. Campbell so far 0 for 3 with a strikeout. This is his first plate appearance against Nick Stewart. And the first pitch is a fastball that misses up and away.
And I get the feeling we're not going to see too much off speed out of Nick Stewart. He's going to be pounding the zone right away. And, you know, he did leave one up there on the first pitch, but you get the feeling we'll see him be a lot more aggressive here through this at bat.
1-0 is in for a strike.
And I think the one thing here, I don't think we're going to see any of the typical Scott Pickler regular season substitutions. You get the feeling he's going to stick with his guns. Noah Campbell, Wyatt Young, Noah Cardenas, 3 of the best hitters on tap here for the YD Red Sox, not only throughout the postseason, but throughout the whole season.
That 1-1 is over. Campbell, of course, 4th in the entire league in walks. He drew 28. And 6th in batting average, hitting .328. Just 2 for 11 in the postseason so far. The 1-2. Fastball just misses outside.
Of course, if the Harwich Mariners can win today, it would be back-to-back sweeps. They would enter the finale on a 4-game winning streak, including one over the 1-seeded Chatham Anglers, the best seeding in the West, and then the 2-seed YD Red Sox in the East as well.
2-2 is foul tipped into the mitt, held onto by Winkle, and the Mariners are 2 outs away, 1 away in the 9th.
Nobody even up and warming in the bullpen. Harwich has the utmost confidence right now in Nick Stewart and his ability to get the job done.
So Pepperdine's Wyatt Young gets a chance. He is 2 for 3 with a couple of singles, as he has been the one consistent guy all season long for the YD Red Sox against Harwich. Seems like he gets on base every other at-bat. Third baseman Terada playing a little bit in on his former teammate. First pitch misses outside. Wyatt Young missed the first game due to an injury of this series, but making an impact in the second game, but so far it certainly hasn't been enough as Stewart misses inside to him.
Yeah, he's had the one single, actually 2 singles, but both came with nobody on base. He came all the way around to third base back in the 3rd inning, but they couldn't score him. He was left on first back in the 6th, and runners left on base continues to be the story throughout the series.
The 2-0 from Nick Stewart. Ground ball right side. Tough play for Cavanus. He can't get there. Afton does. The throw onto Stewart is in time. A great job by Nick Stewart covering the bag, and the Mariners are 1 out away from the championship series.
And how about Nick Stewart getting over to the bag? He looked very comfortable feeling that. That's why he did the PFPs. And again, Stewart comes over, makes an excellent grab, and he's able to step on the base before Wyatt Young, who, again, maybe not going down the line as quickly with that groin injury. So here comes Noah Cardenas, who represents the last and final hope for the YD Red Sox season. And he will face off against Nick Stewart for the first time today.
Cardenas, 1 for 2 with a single, and he also reached via a hit-by-pitch back in the 4th. From the windup, first pitch from Stewart, swung on and fouled off to the right. Mariners at one point in July were last in the CCBL. They were fighting for that final playoff spot with the Brewster Whitecaps, last at least in the Eastern Division, fighting tooth and nail with Brewster before coming on top and clinching their playoff berth. Foul off towards the YD dugout, 0-2.
That one barely caught the netting. Everybody over there having to jump and get out of the way, but everybody's okay, except for YD. They're down to their last strike.
Crowd on their feet. 0-2 count, 2 away in the 9th. Nick Stewart looking to punch out Noah Cardenas and send his team to the championship. Stewart gets the sign, the windup. The 0-2 pitch is chopped foul, and that will make its way out of play.
And again, you can really see this crowd. It is big here at White House Field. Everybody's ready in the dugout, ready in the bullpen. And keep in mind, if Stewart can get it done right here, he will face 9 and set down 9.
The UCLA catcher digs back in. The James Madison University pitcher back on the rubber. Another 0-2. Fouled off yet again.
Well, that's the one thing you know about a guy from the number 1 seeded team in the college country. Noah Cardenas is not going to let this go without a fight. He's been in a couple of these situations himself this year, and he's going to fight tooth and nail as the crowd will get back into it here.
Jack Thomas Wald waits in the on-deck circle, hoping to get one last opportunity. Crowd continues to clap. Another 0-2. Chopper to first. Cavanus has it. He'll take it himself. From the basement to the championship, the Harwich Mariners are going to the 2019 CCBL Championship Series to take on the Cotuit Kettleers. They knock off the YD Red Sox 5-1, improve to 4-0 in the playoffs, and have a date with Cotuit tomorrow night. Final score is 5-1, a couple of 5-1 victories for the Mariners, and a huge home run from Hal Hughes puts it away in the 7th. The Mariners continue their storybook season.
And what a way to do it. Talk about a guy like Nick Stewart who comes in 3 innings of no-hit ball. Same thing he's done the last couple of times we've seen him, and oh boy, this is the hottest team in the Cape right now. 4 consecutive wins. They have allowed just 1 run in each of their last 4 games on average, and this is going to be a tough out with the Cotuit Kettleers coming up.
Once again, the final score, 5-1, Harwich over Yarmouth Dennis. When we come back, we will wrap things up and preview the championship series between the Harwich Mariners and the Cotuit Kettleers. Once again, you have been watching Harwich Mariners Playoff Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back one last time to White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. The Harwich Mariners are going to the championship series of the Cape Cod Baseball League for the first time since 2011, where they won it all against the Falmouth Commodores. They will look for their 5th championship in team history. And Tyler, what a story it has been this entire postseason. 4-0 now. They sweep the top-seeded Chatham Anglers. They sweep a very tough offensive team in the YD Red Sox. It's just amazing what this team has overcome, especially after the rough start to this season.
I mean, 2 days before the All-Star break, this is a team that wasn't in the playoff picture. This is a team that had to fight back from being down several games, and now the next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. So the 4-seed playing 1-seeded Chatham, sweep. Now they're going up against the 2-seeded YD Red Sox with the best offense in the league, sweep. Now they get a chance to play a Cotuit Kettleers squad that has put it together this season, and we'll see whether or not they can make one last push. Got confirmation, Game 1 tomorrow here at White House Field at 6:30. Tune in for that. You're not going to want to miss it.
Should be a phenomenal game between 2 teams that split the season series between each other. Cotuit and Harwich tied the series 2-2. Cotuit won the first game of the regular season series back at Lowell Park. Then the Mariners were able to pick up a couple of victories. They actually split the series in terms of home and home, 1 game apiece, both at home on the road for both teams. So looking back now at this game, YD Red Sox just unable to get it done at the plate once again. Just the lone run on 6 hits, no errors. They stranded 6 runners on base, and after taking a 1-0 lead, YD could not do any further damage, and Harwich scored 5 unanswered runs on 6 hits, no errors committed, and 4 runners left on base. A quick look over at what took place in this game. Scoring kicked off in the 3rd inning. Tate Samuelson had an RBI single. That gave the YD Red Sox a 1-0 lead over a tough pitcher in Jacob Polish. But that would be the only run that Polish would surrender. He went 6 strong innings, allowing 6 hits, 1 run that was earned, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. And the Harwich Mariners didn't have to wait long to tie things up. You look at the bottom of the 4th inning, Corey Acton with the opposite field power off of Ryan Hare down the left field line, tucked one fair down the left field line for a solo home run. That tied things up 1-1. It would remain tied until the bottom of the 7th inning. That's where things really got crazy for the Harwich Mariners, as after a leadoff strikeout by Nico Cavanus, it was a 1-out walk from Corey Acton, a double from Joey Weimer that put runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 down, a huge sacrifice fly from Pat Winkle that gave the Mariners a 2-1 lead. Then Mike Ludwig with an RBI infield single to 3rd, and that set up Hal Hughes, who hit a mammoth 2-run home run, his first of the season, and that was the exclamation point on this one for Harwich as they win it by a final score of 5-1. The win goes to Nick Stewart. He improves to 3-1 on the season, and Stewart continues to look good in the playoffs. He goes a full 3 innings, gives up no hits. He went 9 up, 9 down against the YD Red Sox to close out the game, and he improves once again to 3-1 on the season. The loss goes to Carlos Lamelli, and oh boy, he's got to feel sick after unable to get the job done against Harwich. Once again, the 2nd time he's lost to Harwich this season. He goes just 2/3 of an inning, giving up 2 earned runs and just 1 hit, walked 1 and struck out 1, but Lamelli is saddled with yet another loss, and the Harwich Mariners are able to sweep the YD Red Sox and go to the championship series against the Katuitt Kettleers. That game will start tomorrow at 6:30 right here at White House Field. Due to the fact that these teams were tied in the standings, the tiebreaker was head-to-head. Obviously, those 2 teams tied 2-2 in that tiebreaker, so we had to go to another tiebreaker. The winner of the All-Star game, division-wise, would get home field advantage. So the East won the All-Star game in what was an absolute dogfight. They actually walked off of that game at Eldridge Park a couple of weeks ago, and that made all the difference for Harwich today, as they will be hosting Game 1 tomorrow against the Katuitt Kettleers. That game, once again, right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network at 6:30. For all of us at the Harwich Mariners broadcast booth, for our producer Matt Lucy, for my colleague Tyler Henry, I'm Colin Casey. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for tuning in all season long, as the Harwich Mariners will get an opportunity to win their 5th championship tomorrow night against the Katuitt Kettleers. One last time, the final score in Game 2 of the Eastern Division Championship Series between the Harwich Mariners and the YD Red Sox. The Mariners complete the sweep, winning by a final score of 5-1. Thank you for tuning in once again, and we will see you tomorrow night. So long, everybody.